ice cream, and I went back and watched it. I was like, oh my god. I'm sitting here.
Welcome to GameHounds. Hey, everybody on YouTube. We are here back again. It is July 12th, and it is a few scant minutes after the Ubisoft Forward, which we will be talking about in the show. How are you guys doing? How was your week?
It's pretty good.
Hmm?
Yeah, I was just saying earlier that a bunch of good movies came out on Netflix and Hulu, and I've liked that. As someone who went to the theaters like almost every Friday when they were open, it's like, oh my god, it's movie release Friday. This is awesome.
Spaceballs is out on Netflix, by the way.
Can't remember.
I realized, and while I was watching Spaceballs, I've never actually sat through Spaceballs.
Really?
I know.
I must
like
have
I'm
sat
watching either
through
that or it was
movie.
either that it was so long ago that I forgot all of the gags. But it's like I'm watching it like it's a brand new movie, and it's like, how am I missing this? And I'm laughing my ass off.
I didn't know that. I will have to check that out because I feel like Spaceballs raised me as much as The Simpsons or my parents did. Like, I watched that movie over and over again so many times.
I like in your list of things that raised you, you started with The Simpsons and then moved on to your parents.
You know what? My dad would agree. He has said, like, yeah, Homer raised you just as much as I did. He's like, oh yeah. And he's like, I'm glad too. They're smart stuff, those Simpsons guys.
So yeah, we're interspersing episodes of the Netflix original. Well, it's not really a Netflix. I mean, it is a Netflix original, but it was done in Germany. Called Dark, which is like this science fiction thriller.
I've seen the first season, and I liked it.
Dark.
I liked it. I will say too, that opening song fucking rocks. Mm-hmm. It's so good. Like so moody, creepy. Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, that whole show. And I had to really stick with it. And I'm looking at Kevin and I'm like, you really like this dark shit. And this is not what I need right now.
Okay,
my life is dark enough. I don't need dark stuff. But he's like, no, stick with it. He made me watch the trailer to understand there's a science fiction part of it. And then because it's science fiction, at the end of the like halfway through, it has to do with time travel. I don't think I'm making anything. And I'm asking science fiction questions about...
Are you doing the fucking Lost in Space thing?
Oh yeah. You bring the science fiction, you better fucking bring the science.
From what I remember of that show, it did not get into the at least in the first season that I saw, it did not get into the science of its time travel like almost like fuck it. It's like, no, we're not going to deal with this. But one show Kevin might like, and I think you might like it too, on Amazon. It came out several years ago, and there's 2 seasons, called Fortitude.
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay. Yeah, it takes place in like a...
You do realize you're recommending to Kevin, who says, Nick's taste is shit. And I quote.
If Kevin likes the dark shit, he will
Kevin
like
likes
Fortitude.
The dark shit.
Fortitude is some good dark shit.
All right, I will let him know. But
like dark shit, it's a black shit.
Yeah, there was. Okay.
Should go to a doctor.
You're right.
The dark brown.
Yeah, that's a stomach bleed, guy. So the without like spoiling anything, there is someone who ends up getting caught in a crack in time and goes backwards in time and is kind of stuck there. And you realize very early on that he is there permanently. That is where he's going to live the rest of his life, going back into the 80s. And I'm looking to Kevin. I'm like, all right. And he's a kid. And I'm like, okay, he's like, I guess I'm not reckoning it too much, 10 or 12 years old. And I'm like, all right, if you were 10 or 12 years old today and you went back into the 80s, you're old enough to know things like Apple, Samsung, Microsoft. Why would you not be rich? Because I'm not saying because you're unprepared, you fall through time, you obviously don't have the lottery numbers. You don't have lottery numbers, so you can't win the lottery.
But you can invest in Apple.
But you can take $1,000 and invest in Apple in 1986.
You can
and
invest
be a billionaire.
In Netflix.
You could invest in Netflix. You could invest in Microsoft in 1986 and be a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
What year did he go back? Was it just 1980?
He went back to 1986 from 2019.
So he's 12 at that point, right?
He's 12 and he leaves 2019 and goes back to 1986.
I mean, granted, from what I know, the show takes place in a small German town, so stock market manipulation
small German
is not
backwater
necessarily
forest
at the
town.
top of his forefront of his mind.
Right, but as he's growing up with the knowledge that he originated in 2019, as he's going through life and growing up in the 1980s, becoming a teenager, becoming an adult, becoming a grown-up, he knows that he was from the future. And when he starts hearing about these things like computers and cell phones and everything else, these things should be familiar to you as a 12-year-old.
Some people just don't have those kind of materialistic concerns.
He's got his whole life to think about materialistic, and still in 2019, when he grows up back up into 2019.
Okay, but at 12, he might not have.
He's still living in that little shitty backwater town and has no money.
It's like,
why wouldn't he have some money?
Okay, maybe as a kid he had no concept of the value of those brands. So he didn't understand.
Right, as a kid you wouldn't understand, but he grows up. He becomes an adult. I'm not saying at 12 go buy stock. I'm talking about when that 12-year-old turns into a 30-year-old, he would know certain brands that were gonna become global brands. Google, literally 1999. If you'd have bought Google in 1999,
but
you would
he was
be
so
a fucking
traumatized
billionaire
by the time traveling that he got stuck in a state of arrested development, and so he remained 12 even as he became 50.
Yes, but we meet him and we know him.
Okay.
And he's not in a state of arrested development.
Maybe there's an argument that since he had no concept as a kid of what those values were, that when he grew older and he's had to live his last 6 years in this backwater town, he kind of forgets that stuff. I mean, I don't remember a lot from being 12. So
he spends the rest of his life trying to fix that crack in time. It's at his forefront of his brain. It's not like he forgot that he was born in the 2000s.
I mean, the truth is they wanted their
it requires
hero
you to have a suspension of okay, what would they
wanted him to be the mopey underdog, crazy guy, not the use my knowledge to invest in the future, become a millionaire, and that's how I'm going to fix the crack in time. Is through
he's actually Elon Musk. Elon Musk came back from the future, and this is his early years.
Possible.
I'll see. Actually, that's not a bad idea for a story. An Elon Musk-esque figure makes their Tesla headquarters in some backwater German country, and you're like, why the fuck did you put your headquarters there? That's because there's actually a crack in time there that I fell through and manipulated it to get rich, and now I'm building my headquarters there so that I can study it and, in theory, reverse it.
Mm-hmm. So Corey Wallace says, as you learn from Back to the Future and every other show, you don't fuck with the time-space continuum. Otherwise, shit will change and things like Enron won't be flops, or you don't have your sister.
Yeah, touche. Good point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, but that's the whole thing, is that he is meaning to stop this time loop.
Anyways, I will say real quick, just for a different take on time travel, check out Palm Springs on Hulu. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I really want to watch that.
It's like Groundhog's Day, but taking place after Bill Murray gave up.
All right. I'm definitely into that.
It's cool.
All right. So do we start the actual podcast? By the way, we've got Lala Dada popped up on our notification bar. See, that's why you hit the notification bell. It means that whenever we go live, you get a little beep beep and it tells you that we're up. So, and I believe if you have the YouTube app on your phone, you actually get a notification, pardon me, on your phone that we've gone live. So that's why you want to like, subscribe below, hit the notification bell. The bell is super important.
I don't know. We still have like 20 more minutes of the pre-show, so we should kind of keep filling this out. Like that's been the average, right?
Yeah, no, let's not because we have so much to talk about today.
Last of Us.
He has to talk about Last of Us.
I need to delve deep into the paradox that is
Andrew,
Last of Us.
I know you've played some games. I know they're really important to you. Can you hold off on talking about them this week? Because I know Nick, I've already said, hey, can we make your Last of Us talk shorter? And Nick was adamant that it's not going to happen.
I have nothing new to say, so we're good.
Perfect. Excellent.
To be fair, I don't have anything to talk about other than Last of Us.
Well, there is also Ubisoft Forward that we just watched, which we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Last of Us is more important. Like, this is going to have to be the majority of the show.
We'll see.
I need to get it off my chest.
Can I start the podcast, please?
Yeah, you can start anytime.
Tess, yeah. We'll talk through it, but yeah.
Well, fortunately, I've got you muted, so it's going.
Well, that just means that we can say whatever we want then, since we're muted.
Right? Yeah.
We should just stop
until
singing.
I say mics are hot. Oh, don't. Mics are hot. Hello and welcome. Oh, wait. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 553. We're recording this on. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at something else. July 12th, 2020. I'm Edie Sellers. We have Nick and we have Andrew in the chat room in their proverbial and respective chairs. How are you?
Good.
Pretty good.
Cool. So yeah, we were just talking in the YouTube. By the way, if you ever want to watch us live doing this show, if you happen to be listening to us live on the podcast, you can watch us live right now on YouTube under GameHounds Vids, VIDS, or under on Facebook under The GameHounds. We are live, and if you do watch us on either of those places, definitely subscribe, and if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the bell for notifications. We were talking about how Nick is going to go off on Last of Us.
Not really go off, just talk. This game is a paradox.
Wordsmith?
He needs therapy.
You are a published author, and that's what you got?
Vent implies that, like, I'm so angry with it, but I'm not angry. I'm confused.
All right.
I'm confused because that game, like I said, it's a paradox. How something can be so good and so bad at the same time. That game somehow manages to be less than the sum of its parts. Like, the individual parts and scenes and characters that make it up are all really good, really well thought out, well written, well acted, and yet the overall story ends up being kind of a mess because the game just cannot help getting in its own way. And it's before we I talked before about how, with another friend, comparing this to The Last Jedi, was like an entry in a popular franchise that took some bold storytelling decisions and kind of got caught up in this pop culture chaos that combines genuine criticism with misogyny and like Gamergate bullshit, and all of that kind of got conflated into this whole pop culture controversy that kind of I'm trying to think. Like it sullied. It didn't necessarily sully the movie, but it created this concept that the movie was like a bigger deal than it was because it was at the center of this cultural firestorm. The Last of Us 2 seemed like it was similar, where you had a lot of people praising it, a lot of people having genuine criticism, and then a lot of people just complaining like assholes because Ellie's
They're
gay
assholes.
and because there's a trans character in it.
Right.
It's like, it's JW bullshit. After playing it, I actually think the better analogy is that it's more like Rise of Skywalker, in that it's a entry in a franchise that makes such inexplicable story decisions that I should be mad at it for ruining itself, but I'm so confused and the decisions it makes are so bad that I just come away laughing thinking, why? Why did you do this? Who thought this was a good idea that they invested so much money into it? Like, it boggles my mind. So, okay, getting into the details. This story is, it wants to be about revenge and like cycles of revenge, how we are all the hero of our own revenge story and we are all the villains in someone else's revenge story. And it wants to express this on a micro and a macro level with the individuals of Ellie and Abby, and then in a larger scope with the factions that you encounter in Seattle, which specifically this faction called the Wolves, the WLF for short, and this faction called the Seraphim, which is kind of this religious cult. And so it goes to great lengths to explore the histories of these groups. And I think its ambitions in showing these cycles of revenge works better on an individual level than on the macro level, because with these groups, you learn a lot about the Wolves. You learn that they started as the WLF, the Washington Liberation Front, because when the outbreak first happened, FEMA basically moved in and established a quarantine zone and was kind of authoritative. And so this group started pushing back. They took over. They became their own authoritarian group. And so you learn a lot about their history and specifically why they are in Seattle, why they care about Seattle as a place, and why they would fight for Seattle, because they started in Seattle, right? Mm-hmm. Their name is Washington Liberation Front. So right. That's why they're in this horribly bloody, horribly a guerrilla conflict with the Seraphim. But as you play, you never really get a good sense of who the Seraphim are as people, as a group. Like you kind of get a sense of their religion. So it just kind of
says that they're religious, but it doesn't really get, it doesn't paint them full picture of.
Like you get that they basically see the infection as like this religious judgment and like, oh, we got too advanced and we should go back to an agrarian society. And so when you go to their area, it's like, oh, there's a bunch of farms, there's a bunch of wooden houses, they're basically like Amish. Yeah. But beyond that, it's like, okay, why Seattle? Why are you in this place? Why are you fighting this war with these people for this place? And it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't. At most, what it does is it establishes that, like, oh, there used to be a truce, and then they just hate each other so much. There was a small conflict that broke out, and everyone's like, oh, the truce is off, and they just started killing each other again. To establish those cycles of violence. And this is important later on. Just the fact that the game wants to use these factions to represent these larger ideas about cycles. Because it does, at the very least, even if we don't get a history of this faction, it does a good job spending time with some of these religious people, because they are characters in Abby's story. She spends a lot of time with them. Getting to know them as people, and basically like, hey, look, your enemy is human too, with hopes and dreams and desires, and they don't want to be brutally murdered. What a shocker.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. That is kind of something lacking in a lot of games, especially a lot of video games, but just specifically. Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll bring that up when we talk about the Ubisoft Forward and Valhalla.
And that's also
because here we are talking about Vikings, and Vikings were fucking brutal.
Yeah. And that's also where this game gets kind of weird and kind of gets in its way. Is that its story and wants so badly to express like the cost of violence, and is revenge the right thing? Should I really be doing this? Oh, is it worth? Hang on, there's a patrol. Let me stab someone in the face. Let me shotgun their head off. Let me shoot the dog. Let me slit his throat. Okay. Is violence really the answer? Is revenge worth it? And it's like you realize that you're kind of like sending a really mixed message here, right?
Right.
And at a certain point, it works for Ellie because Ellie, her character is kind of defined by the absurd lengths with which she goes to for revenge, and she doesn't want to stop. It works less with Abby, who is kind of presented as the, I already satisfied my revenge quest, and now I'm just living my life. And it's like, well, I'm still going to murder all these Seraphim in real brutal ways. And it's like, okay, sure. But then as it goes along, what really undercuts this message too is the way that it's structured. The fact that, like I said before, it takes place over 3 days in Seattle. And you start playing as Ellie, and you play through day 1, day 2, day 3. You reach the climax of the story where you think the game is going to end. And then it cuts and flashes back 3 days where you start playing as Abby to see what she's doing over those 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I like Abby as a character. I really do. But all the time I was playing her, I was thinking in the back of my mind, this is fucking bullshit. I don't care what happens to you. I don't care about you. I want to see how the story ends. You were at the climax. You were 10 minutes from the end, and you fucking cut away for 10 hours. It's like, God damn it. I just want to see how it ends. And what makes this part of the game, this middle part of the game, really drag is that while the gameplay is good and it's a very satisfying, like brutal kind of stealth combat, it doesn't really change. Like you slit one guy's throat in hour 1, you slit his same throat in hour 30, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't change. The enemies that they present to you don't really introduce any new gameplay twists. In other games where you're constantly getting stronger and a game will throw in different enemies at you to force you to play differently, that's not what this game is. The stealth in hour 30 is the same as it is in hour 1. That doesn't really change. And so, like I said before, too, it feels like there's so much padding. Like there's so many extended action sequences, and they themselves go on for a little too long. So that middle portion of the game where I'm like, I know what the climax is, but you're forcing me to go through all these padded combat sequences to get to that same point. And it's like, I just want it to end. And it actually got to a point where I was tempted to just watch the ending on YouTube because I was like, I don't want to have to play through this game. Abby Day 2 specifically, you're asked to do something that looks really cool. Like it's a really awesome set piece. And I'm like, as I'm looking at it, as I'm going through this, I'm thinking, this feels really cool. But I don't want to have to play it because it's just another goddamn stealth sequence that I've done before. It's in a cool looking place, but man, I just want this to be over. Thankfully, Abby Day 3 does do something interesting that mixes up the gameplay. The scope and scale of what you get into is a lot bigger than anything else you've seen in the game. And so that makes it actually exciting to go through. And so I think it ends strong. And then once you actually finally get back to that action climax, it's really, really good. Like you actually play through that climax and it presents that fight in an interesting way that I think is really cool. So the game starts really strong. It really, really drags in the middle. And then it ends really strong. And then it keeps going. It keeps fucking going. It goes into an epilogue that then morphs into The Last of Us Part 3. And it's like Revenge Quest Part 2. And then, except with this Revenge Quest, whereas the first one, when you're in Seattle, everything is so padded. It's like, oh, we need to get to that hospital. Okay, well, let's fight through this street. Let's fight through this parking garage. Let's fight across this river. Let's fight over here. 6 hours later, oh, finally, I'm at the hospital. It's about time. Once you're in the epilogue, it's like, oh, let's go on Revenge Quest Part 2. Skip to the end. And it's like, what the... I feel the game puts so much emphasis on the step-by-step process of the journey, and then all of a sudden it's like, nah, fuck the journey. Let's just jump to the end. And it's like, okay, I'm so confused by your pacing. Like, the pacing before was really bad, and now I feel like you're skipping over an entire game's worth of plot. And then you get to that epilogue, that extended epilogue, Last of Us Part 3, and they introduce a new faction that's also named after, an animal, like a lot of other ones. And this faction is like, nah, they're just fucking assholes. Look, oh, they're taking slaves? Yeah, let's just kill them all. And it's like, you went to such great lengths before to establish all these cycles of violence and all these factions. They hate each other, but they're just in this downward spiral. But each of them has a point, each of them has a reason to live, and all of these people, they're individuals with hopes and dreams and wants and desires that don't deserve to get brutally murdered. But you know what? Let's brutally murder these guys. It's perfectly fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Look, they're taking slaves. They're slavers. Fuck them up. Here's a silenced machine gun. Go fuck them up. And it's like, do you not understand the degree to which you are undercutting your message? And then, like, you play through that, and you get to the end of that, and there's another confrontation, and it ends finally, and it's a slightly different ending than it was before, but it really, really feels like the writers didn't know how to end it, and so they just kept going, because you absolutely could have taken the second ending and put it as the first ending. Like, you just switch a couple story things around. You didn't need this extended epilogue. Like, it's completely pointless and fluffy and, like I said, just padded out. And then the second to last scene of the game is another flashback. And it's a flashback to really early in the game. And this is what I say about it being less than the sum of its pieces. This scene itself is really, really good. Very well acted, very well written. And it gives a nuance to Ellie's motivation for revenge that I think is really smart, in that the way it characterizes it is maybe less about revenge specifically and more about finding purpose. That she feels like she has lost a sense of purpose in life, a reason to continue living in this really brutal world. And so when she's wronged, that revenge then becomes her purpose in life. And she's like, I need to do this. And that's why she keeps going to these absurd lengths. And it's like, that's really smart characterization. But you can't reveal that 30 seconds from the end like it's a plot twist. Like, core character motivation is not plot twist. This is the kind of thing that you put at the beginning of the game, and then you force the character to confront it. You have other people ask her about it. She has to look, deep into herself, introspection, or maybe not. Just introduce this idea in the beginning and then explore it throughout the game. But they don't. And part of it is like, oh shit, we got to the end and Ellie's kind of a bitch. What can we do? Let's add a scene that gives her a bit more of a nuance as character. Yeah, that'll do it. And it's like, that's so fucking dumb. It's like, why would... And so it bungles that end so bad. Just in terms of its themes, in terms of its characters, in terms of just asking why? Like, why was any of this extended epilogue really necessary? That by the time it gets to the end, it's like, finally. It's just about fucking time. Like, I got what you were going for, and then you kind of just blabbled on, like a kid making up a story as they go along, and then they write themselves into a corner, and then just gonna, and then it ended. It's like, what the fuck? Who thought this was a good idea? Why? And that is the singular thing that I am left with, is just why. Like, some of the pieces are good, and the outline of a very good, thoughtful story is there. But the way it's presented, the way it's paced, all of it keeps getting in the way and doing everything it can to undercut its own message, to undercut its own emotions. By the end, it's so padded, the suspense parts are no longer suspenseful. The emotional parts are no longer emotional. The horrific parts are no longer horrific. I'm going through that final section just like, I'm going to shoot you in the face and not think twice about it because I just want it to end. And so, yeah, by the time you get to the end, it's like, it feels like I played something that went out of its way to not be good. To be like, you know what? Naughty Dog said, let's make a mediocre game. And
wow,
you're
so angry about this.
There's such skilled writers and such skilled developers that they made something that is genuinely excellent in bits and pieces. But someone is like, how can I ruin this? How can I structure this in a way that just fucks it all up? And they did it. And it's like, why? Why did you do it this way? And it boggles my mind that something can be so good and so bad at the same time. Like, the same scene can be both excellent and shit at the same time. It is like the most paradoxical game I've ever played. So yeah, that's The Last of Us, a game that somehow manages to be less than the sum of its parts.
All right, well, I'm glad you got that out of your system, if only because now we can play ESO together. And bless your heart, you finally got off of Vardenfell last night at 3 a.m.
So, okay, I'm gonna have to pump the brakes on your excitement a little bit, because I don't play games like you. There's another game that I bought a while ago from the maker of the Zero Time Dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. Yeah, I forget what the name of that trilogy was, but it's like a visual novel game, and it's a new one from him. I really want to play that. And you know what comes out in a week? Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
And I want to play that. So I don't think I will go deep into ESO. I'll still play it. And, I'm in the main story now, and the main story is actually pretty interesting. But it's not going to be like a daily thing anymore.
I think that once you get into the main story, you're going to want to play it more than you think.
I don't want to get into the main story because you know what? Chances are I'm not going to see the end of it, because when I actually think about it, I've only beat.
Come on, look how happy Kaz is that you got
Skyrim's story.
No, that's
no. He's happy. 999. That's it. He's happy about me playing the fucking Japanese visual novel game.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The 999 games are excellent. They are deep dives into the mind of a conspiracy theorist nut job. I understand.
I already have one of those in my family. I had to deal with that this morning.
Yes. And see,
playing
those games makes me understand that mindset. That sense that the world is a batshit crazy place, and everyone is just one small step away from trying to kill you. But none of it is random. All of it is part of a singular, vast conspiracy that almost makes sense. No matter how much you learn about those games and the story, there's always like a single piece missing that's like, but wait, that doesn't quite make sense. What about that? Zero Escape. That's it. The Zero Escape trilogy. I love those games. So I'm looking forward to getting into the new one. So yeah, Last of Us. Surprisingly good and surprisingly disappointing at the same time.
I had like a dozen comments, but like it's so out of order now that I have no idea where to start. So
start anywhere.
Say whatever.
I've heard that like when you do a flashback sequence, that's really rough on writing because you kind of delay the story, like you were saying, and they did not handle that well. You kind of have to trust the author that it's going to be worth doing that. Like you're going to get something out of that.
There are several different levels of flashbacks. Like there are the individual flashbacks like to a character story, and actually I think those are some of the strongest parts of the game, because those are parts where they're essentially little vignettes. And so the game has to get in, tell its story, and get out. And so the gameplay is always done in service to the story. And so even when there's action that can be really intense, it's always in service to making a very specific point about this specific time in this character's life. And so I think like those flashbacks, those short flashbacks, are really well done. But then it has that flashback at the end of the game to try to give the character more nuance that like is so poorly placed it's dumb. Then there's the fact that the whole game flashes back to basically reverse itself to make you play as Abby, and that feels like a delay. I don't know why they didn't just go Ellie day 1, Abby day 1, Ellie day 2, Abby day 2. Like build to that climax in a natural way rather than build up to it. Show me where everything is going and then jump back. It's like, why
would it have I haven't played it, so a lot of what I'm going to say is conjecture, but would that have paced well, like playing them back to back like that?
I think it would have paced better. Like I said, I don't know if it would have been well, but I think it would have at least been better than what it is now. Because the very beginning, you play as Abby for a bit. Like you start playing as Joel, has like the very intro where he basically kind of talks to someone and basically recaps the first game. Like they start with him as a means of recapping the first game. And then you play as Ellie for a little bit, then you play as Abby for a little bit, then you get into the main thrust of the game as Ellie. So it's like you jump between characters a lot in that intro. So it kind of establishes this character jumping is going to be a thing.
Yeah, you're going to change perspectives.
Yeah, and so I think if you went through Ellie day 1, Abby day 1, Ellie day 2, that would make sense. Like it wouldn't necessarily come as a shock. And that's what I think the game has a problem with, is that it wants these things to be shocking. Like, oh my God, I'm going to play as Abby now? When it's like, you shouldn't do that as a shock twist. Like that kind of ruins the story. You build up to something and then you delay resolution has like a shocking twist, but that's not really a shocking twist.
And I heard, no spoilers, but that climax between Abby and Ellie, like if they had cut short of what actually happened, that would have been better. Do you agree with that? Like
if they made it shorter?
No, like if they cut short to like what actually happens right before you go back, like, you know, the pinnacle moment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they should have like waited to reveal that after you'd seen both sides, or do you think the way they did it?
Yeah, because where they cut is it's basically like I'm gonna get revenge. Cut. Like one person holding a gun to another's head. Cut. And so it cuts at literally the most extreme climactic point that you can get to. And it's like, fuck you. Like, you're going to bring me up to that point and then delay resolution for 10 hours? You're an asshole. Fuck you. That's why, like, even though I like Ellie and even though Abby, and the things you do has her are interesting, I'm like, I want to see what the fuck happened, because you had one person with another gun to their head. Like, the characters that I like all are like in a shoot off ready stance, you know, appropriate ticker at the bottom, good, the bad, and the ugly style standoff at the end, and then you cut to 10 hours later, and it's like, son of a fucks.
And I'm wondering if the way they did that was to kind of give, like, you have to kind of keep both those stories if you want both characters to be as important, like the same amount of time. So I'm wondering how much of that is padding, like to just make sure, like, all right, we got all the things that we want to tell with this character, but we have less to tell with this character, so we have to add more.
And maybe that's it. Because I'm thinking if they really wanted to keep this structure, I think that Abby's side should have just had less to do, because, that way you don't delay the climax for 10 hours. But maybe they were insistent on giving you an equal playtime with each character. And yeah, I think it would have felt better jumping between them, because you established that that's a thing early on. And like, I think that just builds to a more natural climax, because it is now, it feels really like, it feels like the game teasing you, but not actually ever resolving anything until hours later.
And again, this is all like just kind of guessing, but with that idea that they want you to be as bonded with each character, it would make sense why they wanted you to play each story separately rather than jumping back and forth, because you kind of want to build that emotion steadily over that playtime. But if you're dealing with different stories that don't need the same amount of time, that can be rough.
And this is where it gets into the difficulty of, each player's perspective is different. Like, I very quickly came to like Abby more than Ellie, because, like, just the way the story is set up, like I said before, the intro is basically Abby resolving her revenge story, and then Ellie starting hers. And so Abby starts in a less dark place, because she's kind of been through this quest already and gotten to the end. And it's been a successful revenge, right? And so, like, when you're playing as Ellie, you're in this very dark place where it's like, yeah, she just wants to fucking murder people. And some of the other characters are like, so is this really worth it? Like, they didn't hurt you specifically. And she's like, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Fuck, they made a mistake letting me live. I'm going to murder everyone. And it's like, okay, Ellie, you're kind of an asshole. And Abby's just not like that. Abby's not like, let's fuck everyone up. She's, just a bit more well-rounded and well-grounded. And so that makes me like her more naturally. But I know other people I've read online, and other people are like, nah, fuck Abby. I hate Abby so much because of the way she wronged Ellie in the beginning. Like, they cannot forgive her for that. And so no matter how much they played as her, they were like, nah, fuck Abby. Fuck Abby to the end. And it's like, those are two completely different extremes of relationships, right? Of characters, player opinion. And I don't know, the game has to somehow try to meet those people in the middle.
And I think, like, I think the reason, like, wanting to build like a connection with each character is why in the epilogue they probably skipped a lot, because it's like, all right, we got to the character point between these characters that we wanted, and we wanted you to feel connected to both of them. We're done with that. We don't need that padding anymore. Let's just get this on.
And that's what confused me, though. Is like, at the same time, the journey that people would go on in that cut time feels like it would be substantial. And it's like, like I said, you skipped over an entire game's worth of plot where theoretically something would happen, right? Some sort of character growth would happen in that meantime, but I guess it just doesn't.
And it seems like they leaned a lot on the first game's connection to Ellie. Like, instead of building building Ellie up, like, the emotional connection from the first one for her is the grounding for still liking her. Like, why people hate Abby is not because Ellie was a good character in this game, but because you played her in the last one.
I think so.
And I think that's a rough story thing. Like, you kind of want your story to stand on its own, like characters all on their own, even if they are from the last story.
And like I said, I think the end game revelation that her extreme desire for revenge may be more to do with like finding purpose in life than it is just about the facts of revenge. That is like a really good character beat. And if the game had actually introduced that early on and then explored it further, like, that would make her way more sympathetic. I think it would make for a much more interesting introspective revenge story, to have actually have someone question their desire for revenge and what is driving them towards this. Like, that makes a good revenge story. And the fact that Ellie never does that makes the whole thing feel kind of surface level. Like, it's trying to go for this prestige idea, of cycles of revenge and the things we do to each other, but it doesn't actually explore those themes in any real depth. It just kind of presents them, and then, it just kind of presents them, and thinks that giving lip service to those ideas is the same as exploring them in depth, and it's not.
Well, I mean, from what you're saying, and again, I haven't played it, so I'm not sure. It seems that Ellie doesn't progress as a character, like, because she's already starting off as kind of super competent in this world, right? Like, she can go through all these places and all that, so it's not like she's getting better at skills, and she doesn't change over the course of the game with her revenge side of stuff either. It's
like she does, but that's also part of the frustrating thing, is that, like, when you get to ending 1, she kind of doesn't. But then ending 2 is like, oh, this is the character arc that we wanted. And it's like, why didn't you take ending 2 and make it ending 1? Why did you have to make Last of Us Part 3 into this Cliff Notes version of a game to get to the ending that it seems you wanted to get to in the first place? And it's like, you could have rewritten the story to make ending 2 ending 1, and it would have been fine. Like, I was sitting at the end thinking, I can see how you can get to this part with the character in ending 1. It's not a leap. Like, it's not a stretch of writing. Other things have done this. Like, it's ending 2 in and of itself is not like a new idea. Like, it's not a new character arc. It's the arc Ellie goes through is the arc any sort of revenge protagonist goes through. It's like, okay, you're not rewriting the book or anything. It's just, you're finally completing a character arc that you should have completed like 4 hours ago.
It almost seems like there was 2 visions of the same game that they wanted to, like, do, and they're like, all right, let's just put these 2 together. Like, 2 separate stories, 2 versions of it.
Maybe. Like I said, I think it feels like they had a singular vision, and like their idea of let's kind of present the same story from 2 different views makes sense. It's just, like I said, the way they presented it and the way they structured it and went about it is they kind of undercut every good idea that they had.
And see, in Last of Us 1, because I haven't played, like I said, Last of Us 2, what made it so great and like the pacing was how they broke up each section. Like,
it was basically a series of vignettes, a series of short stories. Because, like, you got to some place, met someone new, went through some shit with them, and then moved on. And like, I think there were like 3 distinct sub-stories within the larger story of their journey. And it's like, that works because you're constantly getting like intro resolution, like introduction, conflict resolution, introduction, conflict resolution over and over again throughout the course of that story as you meet and move on from these other characters.
And when you look at it from a gameplay perspective, it doesn't get boring because about halfway in number 1, Joel gets incapacitated. And you start picking up as Ellie for a section of the game. And then once you go through that game, you pick up Joel to the end, though. But it's towards the end after you pick him back up. And it doesn't seem like they have that kind of break that they do in 1.
Yeah, well, and because the gameplay issue got me thinking about a lot of Naughty Dog games. And I think a lot of Naughty Dog games probably have the same issue. And I've heard people say they don't like the way they play, and it always confuses me. But I think, like, even Uncharted, like the combat in hour 30 of Uncharted is the same as it is in hour 1. But it was less of an issue for me in those games and even in Last of Us 1 because I felt like the gameplay and the story were much better melded. And I felt like the set pieces and the action that I was going through always had like a clear reasoning to do it. Like, I always felt motivated to get through it, and it always felt fun. In this game, so much of it, like I said last week, is let's go to point B and then let's just go through a bunch of stuff to get to point B. And it's like, if I'm at point B, yeah, it's fluff. Like, once I get to point B, there's always some action or stealth scene to do there. And it's like, okay, this is more entertaining and fun because I'm at the place where I want to be. It's just it's padded out with all this walking.
Yeah, when you're in like an actual like shooter, like a first-person shooter game or something like that, that fluff is fine because that game is relying more on the mechanics. But when you're playing like a Naughty Dog game or Last of Us for this exact instance, it's about the story. So
yeah,
when you're adding that fluff to just kind of add time and to let you play the game, no one wants that. They want that story. They want a reason for why you're going through this.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing about motivation. It's like, what do you come to these games for? And the gameplay itself is not bad, but that's not why I'm playing this game. And so once the gameplay starts to interfere with the pace of the story, then I start to really resent it.
That's pretty much all my comments that I can remember anyways. Like
yeah. So yeah, I'm glad to play it. I'm glad I played it. It's interesting. It fails in really, really fascinating, interesting ways. I hope to God maybe I shouldn't say that. Because after Last of Us 1, people were like, don't make a sequel. It doesn't need a sequel. Like, taking what this game wants to be and its ambition and ideals, I think it's a very good sequel to that first game. I think they make for a very strong duology. So, in theory, they could make a third game that is also very strong. But I just hope they don't try to fuck around with the structure like they did here. Just make a straight linear narrative. That's what you should do.
Here's a little bit of a thought idea. Like, if they had taken out Ellie and Joel and those characters from the first one, and they replaced it, and they spent that padded time building up new characters from both Abby's side and Ellie's side, do you think it could have just been as good of a game?
Like if it just didn't have Ellie or Joel?
Yeah, like if it didn't have like anything to do, if it was just another story in the Last of Us world, or do you think that they are important to?
They are integral to this narrative.
Okay.
This is as much their story as it is Abby's, and that's what makes it such a strong duology. Is that unlike what I said before about this being like another story in someone's life, this is an explicit sequel to that game. That game is absolutely necessary for coming into this one, and everything that happens in this game is contingent on that first game. And so okay. I think they make for very good bond. Like if this game was better structured, like I think it would make for a very, very strong duology. It's just unfortunately this game is not well structured. So yeah.
All right. So anything else that we want to talk about games wise?
That's what I've been playing.
All right.
And then some ESO, and then I will just purposely not play for a while just to piss you off.
Of course you would.
Tonight I'm going to go play my visual novel game just to delay as long as possible.
All right. So do you want to hit news so we can talk about the rest of the stuff that happened today?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds News, the news, views, and commentary for the week in gaming with Gamer Edie, Nick DiNicola, and Andrew Smith. And our first item is, do we want to talk about what happened at Ubisoft, the corporation, before we hit Ubisoft?
If we don't mind, because we can like go in from that story into Ubisoft Forward pretty well. I just have a bunch of like sales and news that are going to be kind of short that I want to get out of the way, if that's all right.
Sure.
First is Target's having a sale that if you pre-order a new game, you can get up to 30% off on newer games like Last of Us 2. So even though that just came out, you can get 30% off if you pre-order a game at Target. Just a quick one, like Final Fantasy VII, all of that. It's apparently hundreds of games you can get that 30% off on.
That's kind of a good deal.
That's actually cool, yeah.
Pre-order. So if you're going to pick a
Ghost Tsushima comes out next week and get 30% off another recent game.
Right.
And Humble Bundle news, they're having a pretty damn good bundle. It's the, what was it? Summer Adventure Game Bundle. And it is a lot of Telltale games. And it is also for donations. Some of the monies is going to go to the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to donate, what you buy from here, part of that goes to the fund. And at $1, if you know how it works, you get $1, then the average, and then 15.
Mm-hmm.
$1, you get Walking Dead Season 1, Walking Dead 400 Days, indie game called Oxenfree, which apparently is pretty good.
Oh, I loved Oxenfree.
Yes.
Batman, The Enemy Within. And for the medium price, whatever that ends up being, it's around $8 last time I checked. You get The Wolf Among Us, Batman, The Enemy Within Shadow Mode, which I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. The Walking Dead Michonne, and then The Walking Dead Season 2. And at $15, you get Heaven's Vault, which is apparently another good indie game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know Heaven's Vault.
Batman Telltale series, plus the Shadow Mode, and then Walking Dead Final Season, and Walking Dead A New Frontier. So all of the Telltale Walking Dead series at $15.
That's
cool.
a really good deal. I would get it if only for The Wolf Among Us. Yeah, I mean, if you had to say, look, you can have one, Beyond Good and Evil, or Wolf Among Us, have the next game in the sequel, which would you pick? I'd be hard pressed to pick one.
Excuse me.
I might actually even pick The Wolf Among Us. I might even, oh man. Dare I say, if I had a choice between that and Dragon Age, I might even actually pick The Wolf Among Us over Dragon Age. Assuming that they were games of equal length, yeah.
Okay, in all fairness, though, Dragon Age has kind of dipped in quality from the first one.
Mm-hmm,
so,
exactly.
You're dealing with one Wolf Among Us game. It's kind of like, would you choose Dragon Age Origins or The Wolf Among Us?
Well, actually, I guess that's actually a really perfect comparison, because the developers that made those original games that you love are pretty much gone. And so any sequel will basically be made by a completely new team of people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Free games. Epic is giving out 3 games for this week. Killing Floor 2, which is a fun game. It's been out for years.
Who's doing this one?
Epic Game Store. Whether or not you hate them, that's different. Killing Floor 2, and then Lifeless Planet, which is an exploration game where you go to Mars and it gets trippy. Like, you're going there. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lifeless Planet. I remember that. That's a really good game.
And then The Escapist 2, which is apparently a life sim game where you have to do your day-to-day prison stuff while you're trying to escape jail.
Oh, I have seen this on what was the show that the YouTube guy that I love so much. Gray Still played it, and it looks really good.
So those are 3 free games if you're looking for something to play, and Killing Floor 2 is great. You just need friends.
I think it's also just worth saying real quick. I was on Humble Bundle. They also have a comics bundle for Image Comics. That's fucking incredible. Like, for $20, you can get so many things, and I'm looking at the list, and all of them, 80% of all this stuff is stuff I know that's really good. So, yeah, if you need a quick digital comics injection, that image comic showcase bundle on Humble Bundle is shockingly good.
I have 2 more pieces of news, I guess, if that's okay.
Okay.
Just because once we get into Ubisoft, I feel like that's going to take up the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Apparently, Sony invested $250 million into Epic.
Yeah, I heard that. It's a weird thing.
Which is not. I mean, if you look at it sounds like it is a lot of money. But Epic is valued at $16 billion.
17 actually.
17 billion? Yeah.
Yeah.
250 million is not that much.
No, the second part of that is an industry analyst said it was about 1.5% stake, whereas back in 2012 when Tencent put a stake into Epic, which for $330 million, that was a 40% stake.
Right.
So that might be interesting. I'm not sure what it means. It might just be Sony being like, we're going to make money off of this because they have Fortnite and they're growing.
Right.
And there's been a big push by Epic to get exclusivity and push stuff on the Epic Game Store. Like that's been everywhere. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And Tencent is looking into buying the parent company of Digital Extremes for Warframe. And I'm wondering what that's going to be like. Tencent is? Yeah. They want to buy the parent company that owns Digital Extremes.
Put it this way. It's Tencent. If they want to buy it, they will buy it.
They're in negotiations.
They will force them. I mean, that's like...
hostile takeover.
It's like we can either do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way.
So I don't know what that'll look like for Warframe or how much they're gonna.
Yeah, Tencent.
I mean, honestly,
the more I learn about Tencent, the more I do not like them.
Yeah, like honestly, it probably won't mean anything for Warframe because they do a lot. They buy stuff and then just leave it alone. And so that makes them kind of like these benevolent overlords. And then they keep buying more things and then more things and leaving it alone so that the stuff you're getting remains the same. But it's like, yeah, we're going to be your corporate overlords and you'll love us.
Well, it's right.
Everything's fine.
They'll leave you alone until they don't leave you alone. And it's like when Tencent says, you're going to make a game. Like of an IP that you owned previous to us.
Well, they haven't said that at anyone's. Like
they have.
Yeah, have they?
They did with Riot, I believe. That they said, "Hey, we want you to." I forget which game they wanted to go to mobile. Was it League of Legends? I think it was League of Legends. They wanted it to go mobile.
It must not be League of Legends because that's not on mobile.
No, I mean TFT's on mobile.
Right, exactly. They said we want you to make League of Legends mobile, and Riot's like, nah, we really can't deliver the same experience. And they were like, okay. And then they went and they made a game that is, for all intents and purposes, League of Legends mobile, and put it out there and essentially competed. If it hadn't been an investor, they probably would have sued them for copyright.
Because I know there's 3 of those type of games. There's a Dota one, there's a League one, and then there's one by the original creator of the genre.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
so I guess the League one was not made by Riot. Then
is not a nice company. It is.
I never said they were.
If they leave you alone, great. If they don't leave you alone, be fucking careful because they will show up on your door and they'll say, "We think you need to do this, and you should." And if you go, "Please, no, I really don't want to," and they're like, "That's fine. We will just destroy you."
No, that actually seems like the most corporate benevolent thing to do. To be like, "You don't want to? Okay, you do it then." Okay, we'll just get someone else to do it.
Well, Warframe's seeing good growth. It has a strong player base and player support. So
yeah, and they seem to be really into those live games. They've invested heavily in those.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if it'll necessarily mean anything because 1.5% is not a lot, at all. On my last bit of news is there is a documentary that got released, and it's in the form of an interactive storybook.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Half-Life: Alyx Final Hours, and you can buy this on Steam for $10. The author of it is Jeff Keighley, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff Keighley, yeah.
He made this. It's $10, and you can buy it on Steam, and it's a documentary of the past 10 years at Valve and a lot of their projects that got canceled. So like Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, and a bunch of other projects that we never even heard of. Apparently there was 5 Half-Life games that got canceled. And
I might have to see that just because
they've canceled more games than they've made.
Yeah. Like just to see inside that process would be really interesting.
And that's what I thought too. That's why I was going to bring it up and mention it because that'd be cool because we always wondered what Valve did with the number 3. It's like they removed it off the keyboard or something. So I'd like to see what happened.
All right, so should we hit the Ubisoft stuff now?
Yeah.
All right, so starting off, just clearing the decks to talk about Forward. On the eve, literally Sunday, wee hours of the morning on Sunday, it was announced that Ubisoft had purged more executives. They've officially resigned, but some very, like, not just like a couple of vice presidents, no, big guys. Serge Haskaway, who is the chief creative officer and the company's second in command, has resigned, as well as the human resources director, Cecile Coronet, and managing director of the Canadian branch, Yanis Mallet. All of them have resigned in this, company-wide clearing in the wake of scandals about abuse and toxic workplaces and sexual harassment and racism. According to the Yves Guillemot, the CEO, who released a statement about it, he said Ubisoft has fallen short in its obligation to guarantee a safe and inclusive workplace environment for its employees. This is unacceptable, as toxic behaviors are in direct contrast with values on which I have never compromised and never will. So right now, Guillemot is going to be taking over his number two's, Haskaway, taking over his role temporarily as chief creative officer. So he's put that on his own desk until they have a replacement. But this is a major shakeup at Ubisoft, which would be news enough, except that it happened hours before Ubisoft's big, not E3 press conference, Ubisoft Forward. And yeah, the bloodletting continues. And if you were an Ubisoft employee who put his hands on somebody in the last 10 years, I would imagine you are fucking terrified, as well you should be. I have never seen a company clean house the way that Ubisoft is taking, does zero fucks. They are doing this, and they do not care what, they're not dealing with it internally. It's like, you're out. You're out. Get out.
Do you want to resign, or we can forcefully remove you from the office right now?
We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. It's another one of those situations.
You have to have screwed up royally to get fired as the head of HR. Like, that is your job, and if you got fired...
That's what happened,
Oh, yeah,
right?
that person should have been fired 2 weeks ago.
They're gone.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they had to go through their investigation, and clearly, it's like, as soon as the investigators say, they fucked up, it's like, okay, you're out. Every company should be doing this. This is how you handle scandals, like company-wide scandals. Toxic workplaces like Riot, this is how you handle it. You fire everybody, and it does not matter how many, how high up you are in the company. If you're implicated, you're gone.
And Riot probably should have done something like this, and I have a lot of respect for Ubisoft. Like, I have gained respect over the years that they had lost from me, and I'm slowly becoming impressed. They are probably one of my favorite AAA studios right now.
Yeah. I just, there are ways that you can respond to implication, these kinds of like deep dives into how pervasive a toxic workplace can be. It's not the first company to have this by a long shot, but this is how you do it. And this is the best I've ever seen a company handle it so far, at least seemingly. And it gives me more faith, and it makes me feel okay about Ubisoft games, because 2 weeks ago, I'm like, do I want to support these games? Do I want to support, I refuse to use Uber to this day, and for less than what is happening here. I will not use Uber, and I never will. And that's where I was with this one. It's like, do I really want to support Valhalla? Do I really want to buy some of these games that I know that were kind of created under horrible situations and horrible circumstances for the people that are, silently suffering? And now I feel good about it. I have no problem with buying any of the games that we saw today at Ubisoft Forward.
Yeah. They've really turned a leaf about kind of honesty at Ubisoft. They're like, we're gonna fix this. 2 weeks later, we fix this, or at least we're starting to.
We're fixing it in a way that needs to be done.
We responded.
Yeah. We're killing it with fire.
That's the way you change up your culture. Is if it's a problem at the top, you just remove it and put people in there that know better.
Yep. And on top of that, everybody that doesn't get caught in this knows that they can never do it again. It is not going to be swept under the rug. So, shortly after those revelations, I would imagine this is not going to be the last of them. In fact, that's the kind of the way to handle it, is just keep firing people until we get so used to them being fired that we stop reporting on it.
You know what? I will say, I think maybe one of the reasons they responded so quickly is that Yves Guillemot seems to be like a genuinely good person.
Yves Guillemot is a good person.
He's the head of everything. Was with a lot of these other companies, it's the CEO who's doing all the wrong stuff.
Right.
That's fair.
So at this point, with this company, you actually have someone on top who wants to change rather than the people at the top being the source of the problem.
Right. He's a personality to Ubisoft the way that Reggie Fils-Aimé was a personality to Nintendo. And I just have to wonder if this is like purely suppositional. If Reggie Fils-Aimé had this kind of scandal happen on his watch, would he be doing what Yves Guillemot is? And I don't think so.
No, but someone above him would, because he's not the CEO of Nintendo. He's just the spokesperson.
No, he was the president.
Yeah, but there's someone above him who would get rid of him, because Nintendo cares too much about their image.
Oh no, I'm saying if it had happened on his watch, not that he had done. Like, I would never say that Reggie Fils-Aimé would do it, but if a scandal like this had happened to Nintendo on Reggie Fils-Aimé watch, would he have handled it like this? I would like to think yes, but I don't. Yeah. I've never seen a company handle it like this. Not a company of this size and scope. When you're talking 18,000 employees. I am pleasantly surprised, and I think that it's important that it changes Ubisoft's culture, but more important, it's important for the industry to see how Ubisoft has handled this and using it as a model for how other game companies and other corporations, even Uber, even, any corporation, that this is the way you handle it. They're essentially forging new ground and setting the bar that everyone else is going to have to meet. And kind of signaling to the industry that it is not okay. You can, call them SJWs, and you can try and belittle women that are saying that it's not okay to stick your hands down my pants. But ultimately, it's not okay to stick your hands down a woman's pants. Ever. Unless she asks.
The AC Wraith linked to a French article that went into the culture at Ubisoft. And even then it sounds kind of bad. On the current mood, this is from the translation. Since your revelations, the situation here has gotten worse. Leaders are convinced this is a detrimental to their freedom. They call it a witch hunt. And I guess there was a tool called Whisperly that existed since 2018 to report acts of corruption. At the time, we recommended to add harassment and discrimination to the theme for the report, but HR explicitly refused.
Oh.
The HR team is the silencing arm of Ubisoft.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, like I said, you have to fuck up to get fired from a position like that, and because that basically means you're the CEO looked at you and was like, "Holy shit,
Mm-hmm.
you're gone."
And it sounds like Serge was a particularly bad person.
Serge
Haskowit,
the chief creative officer.
Yeah, way worse than you'd think.
Really?
Way worse than. Okay, what is it?
Spill the tea, my friend.
From someone from the HR team, he is even valued for his toxicity, his misogyny, his homophobia, and his management style about cursing others for his libidinous behavior.
Mm-hmm.
We knew about Serge. He was present when Tommy Francois tried to forcefully kiss a colleague, and that made him laugh. Serge reportedly drugged employees without their knowledge, including members of the top management, by sharing space cakes. Report on one of his outbursts about a VP that demanded a lunch meeting with him. Serge said his bad fuck was hindering his creativity and that someone should open her mind by fucking her from behind and share her around until she gets it. During a work dinner, he forces his creative directors to drink until they're sick, then asks the waitresses to bring all the bottles of the restaurant and shouts, "You're a faggot if you don't drink." Do you want me to keep going? There's even this.
Oh shit!
So he's.
That's bad.
I am fucking stunned that got. Oh my gosh! Wow, I'm kind of speechless.
I'm wondering, like, what kind of position, like, if you're
how does somebody like that ever get in that position? Wow. I didn't know it was that bad.
I imagine politics at that point, like, you know the right person, they like you, so that's how you get there. And I'm wondering
when you're number 2 in the company, who's going to tell you not?
And I'm wondering what kind of, like, stuff in the contract makes him hard to fire. Like, what kind of pressure do you need to get him out of that spot? I'm glad he's gone.
It makes me wonder about Yves Guillemot, because there's no way that he could do that and Yves not know it. How did he not know that his number 2 was doing this?
That's my point. Like, maybe he did know, but it took a certain amount of outside pressure to be able to fire him.
So the head of HR, I don't know if this is the head of HR that left or a new head of HR. The head of HR says Yves is okay with a toxic management as long as these managers' results exceed their toxicity level. Ubisoft gives a second or a third chance or more if necessary to its key employees, the ones that proved themselves.
Basically, he was useful.
Yeah, the results.
Right. He made us money, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Then the only reason he got fired right now is outside pressure. Like the fact that there's been such a groundwell movement of like getting these people out and exposed.
Hey, protest work. That's the.
I am impressed that La La Dada did not know what a space cake is. I mean, I'm old and I know what a space cake is.
I didn't know what a space cake is, but I can assume from what it is. But I don't know specifically. Yeah. But context, I assume.
I make a hell of a space cake. I am not and I can say that now because, I live in California. I'm not a 420 type person, but I make a hell of a space cake.
Okay.
You led with drugs, so it could have been anything. And dosing somebody with weed is not okay without their knowledge. Never.
Dosing somebody with anything is not okay without their knowledge. It's also fucking dangerous to do.
But what has been described of this person, I was expecting Rohypnol or something as a joke or prank, just because this guy seems to have no boundaries.
Gives no fucks whatsoever. Does not care. If he finds it funny, everybody should find it funny.
So it's good. That guy needed to go.
He needed to go. He needs to never work again.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Now I'm starting to wonder, because how did he... I mean, that...
He knew. He just, again, money. That's all it was.
That's what I said.
Thing is that now Yves needs to stand up and say, I knew, and I was wrong. I mean, I don't necessarily want his head because he's doing the right thing now, but he needs to admit he knew what was going on. Because that's so over the top bad.
Yeah, unless he was never there for any of those. Like, if he's kind of I let people do what they do, and if they make good money, I don't get involved. Like,
Tencent?
But my guess is, like, it was so prevalent that he had to have been there for some of that.
Or at least heard about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he's there because I don't know how much a CEO mingles with the underlings.
And Yves Guillemot is
but he would hear. But he would hear about
He would hear. Right.
So yeah, let's talk about Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Ubisoft games. By the way, is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft? I call it Ubisoft.
I always say Ubisoft. I've always said Ubisoft.
I jump between the two. So
all right, put it out to the chat room. We'll crowdsource it. Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft? I'm just trying to think how the French would pronounce it. Ubisoft. Ubisoft.
Not gonna try.
The U and the T are silent.
That's right.
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft. So yeah, tons of things revealed. Biggest thing that they're obviously pimping like hell is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which looks amazing. Oh my God, it looks so good.
Before we jump into that, I just want to say, like, the overall theme at Ubisoft and their games is like liberation and down with the oppressor. Like,
I know, totally political. Like, you put Watch Dogs and Far Cry with it, it's like, oh wow.
Yeah,
that Far Cry trailer is pretty fucking amazing too.
That wasn't a trailer, that was a short movie.
It was a short movie.
Yes. Well, okay, like, it's a cool trailer, and like on the giant bomb they're making fun of the credits saying that looks like True Detective, and it's all true. But like, I don't know what I want a Far Cry game to be. Like, I played 5. 5 was fun, and I didn't play the apocalyptic one that came out. But like, I feel like those games have kind of stagnated, and I still think Far Cry 2 is the best of the series because it just goes out of its way to fuck over the player in the most extreme circumstances.
Yes.
Like, you're in the middle of a firefight and your gun jams, and it's like, oh shit. And like,
here's malaria.
Yes, there was enough in that game that like made individual firefights really cool, and it's never gone back to that. It's always been kind of the same. And like, looking at this trailer, it's like, wow, the villain looks really cool. The world seems interesting. But I hope that it's more than just Far Cry 6.
The thing is like, since Far Cry 3, they have kind of used the same engine and same style for each game that's came after.
Yeah.
Like, they could almost be expansions.
Yeah.
Like, they're not different. And that's fine because Far Cry plays well enough that it can be its own game. Like, it doesn't feel like it's ripping anyone off or anything like that. But it does kind of get old after a while. So what I'm hoping they do is, like, this is going to be a city setting, because we've had basically forest or island as the setting the last 3 games. And then even Primal was another forest that I would like to see.
So, 5 was fairly modern. Like, 5 took place in towns, even if not a city.
But it was rural. Like, I want to see a city. A massive one. That could be cool. I think that'd be a good way to change it up without necessarily using a whole new, like, system.
Yeah, when I saw it with the cars and everything, I'm like, oh, it's Cuba.
I mean, yeah,
you know, the vintage vehicles, I mean, it's flat out Cuba.
It's Cuba,
right? Cuba.
In the same way, the 5th one was like America.
Was like, Colorado?
Yeah.
So yeah, Far Cry 6. That movie was really fucking good. Really fucking good. But yeah, the let's talk about Valhalla, because you know it was kind of they spent a lot of time on it, and after they closed the Ubisoft Forward, they played another half hour of gameplay. in the deep dive of all the mechanics.
It looked amazing, just like ground up. And also, I haven't played since Black Flag. I think I've never really gotten into a Assassin's Creed game after that, and this just looks wildly different from what I'm used to.
It is, yeah. You missed that break in formula, which is funny because I played Origins, which is where they broke the formula, and I thought it was okay. I have not got around to Odyssey, even though I got it for Christmas one year. I never played it because I heard it was so big and so long. And so I'm looking to get into Assassin's Creed again because like I've fallen off of it after it changed and became something else. So yeah, maybe just taking a couple years break from the franchise is what I needed.
Is the meta story still like a thing? Is it still people like
it is
and an animus? Okay.
Yep. They've changed that around and now it's a portable animus and anyone can go in it, but
like that's not even a thing. Like they don't mention that story at all in any of this. It's pretty much just like, no, that's just a vehicle now for you could play like historical people in a fantasy kind of world.
Which is interesting because like that meta story was the driving force of the narrative for a lot of those games, but not the driving force of the gameplay. And so it feels like they're slowly turning that, but they just can't quite get rid of that meta story. It's just like this appendix narrative thing that's hanging on that they can't get rid of.
Yeah, because after 4, it looked like they were like, again, I didn't play anything after 4, but they were like building up this new character and this new meta story, and it's just like
4 was the introduction of a new meta story. 1 through Revelations was like one meta story. 1 through 3 was a meta story that kind of ended in a bad way. 4, Unity, and Syndicate were kind of the start of a new meta story. And then with Origins, they dropped that new meta story completely. And so I'm like, okay, because you were kind of going someplace interesting with like resurrected gods in a digital age, and I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. I want to see this. And they were theoretically adding a third faction to the Assassin Templar battle, and it's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then they're like, people don't like this. So yeah, they're like, no one cares except Nick. So let's fucking abandon all of it.
Acme News is asking about Watch Dogs 2. He said, he or she said, did they say if we can still get Watch Dogs 2? We couldn't log in.
It was just during the show.
Right. It was free on the Uplay during the show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I don't think it's free anymore. I think it ended when the show ended.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the thing that made me kind of want it more than when I originally had started in on the entered Ubisoft Forward was that they're expanding this whole idea of building your settlement and using the funds and the resources that you acquire from raiding to actually build a settlement.
You put a settlement in the game, it's Edie's on. Like
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I am all about it. And Nick also mentioned that they're really bringing back this whole idea of stealth that goes way
I feel
back.
like I have not seen blending in with crowds in a long time.
Right. And I love the whole blending in with crowds. That was kind of what made Assassin's Creed. Was you are nobody and everybody.
I do like that short little clip of the guy pouring water and the prompt for assassinate appears on everyone that walks by.
They had won me over with dual shields. Like,
oh yeah, the dual wielding of anything, including dual shields.
That's an interesting idea, and I hope that ends up feeling meaningful. Like I hope that the changing weapons feels like a meaningful change in combat. Because I think there are a lot of games where you switch a weapon and it's like, well, I'm using a long sword or a short sword, it doesn't really matter. I'm still just hacking and slashing like an idiot. So I hope that it mixes things up in a good way.
I want to point out real quick, it just passed in the gameplay stuff, but when your character is getting mauled by that wolf, that is horrifying. Like your character is a ragdoll.
Yes, where your character is literally being dragged around by a huge direwolf.
Yes. That was terrifying, but I loved it.
Acme News is saying there were server issues on Watch Dogs 2, and they tweeted about it, so I thought that maybe that may say, hey, sorry, we couldn't handle the demand. Here's how you can get it. It probably was that. It probably was they were getting, beaten like somebody owed them money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so many companies do that thing. We're like, we're going to give this away for free at this time frame. And they're like, oh, we can't do this. We just can't do this.
Yeah.
Warframe did that with their live event that they do every year, TennoCon. They're like, we're going to give you this Warframe if you log on during the event. Halfway through the event, they're like, this isn't working. We cannot turn this on. You'll just get it. You'll get it when you get it. And like 2 weeks later, people were still getting that Warframe popping in their box. Because they're just like,
at least they got it. At least they got it. I feel like Ubisoft would take the technical issues as like hey, maybe you'll just want to buy the game now.
Peut-être. So we have actually somebody from France who says, bonjour. I just find accidentally your video live. Hello from France. Okay. Tristan, I have a question. Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft? You would know. I believe you. Bonjour. AC Wraith has it looks like he's responding to Acme News. It says, rest assured we will be rewarding everyone with an Ubisoft account with the goods we plan to distribute during the forward as soon as we can. Please check back here for details. And this comes from the website ubisoft.com/en-us/forward.
I couldn't log on, so I didn't get it. I'm not too worried about it, though.
Yeah. So I am.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Watch Dogs, like getting it for free, Watch Dogs Legions looked really interesting.
Watch Dogs Legions looks really good. Talk about another short movie.
Well, I'm not sure. Like Watch Dogs Legions looks like it can have like this identity issue depending on how you play, or it can kind of be whatever you want to be, because it's like. One section is, hey, here's someone with a stealth using little drones to electrocute guys and sneak on by. And in another instance, it's literally mimicking John Wick.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Before we go any further, I need to show you this. So whenever I look up our gameplay or the trailers to play alongside of us, I go on YouTube and look up, whatever it is, gameplay, no commentary, or trailer, right? I looked up Watch Dogs Legions trailer. This is what came up on my screen. Look at all of this up here on the top.
Oh, yeah. Suggested products.
Yeah. All of it's like that's the first time I've ever seen this in YouTube.
No, I've had a thing pop up for what was it, Animal Crossing for a while now. Yeah, no, they're baking in ads to the.
Oh wow, that is crazy. Anyway,
I've not seen it because I have the ad block.
There was literally a part that was just John Wick. That's all it was.
Oh yeah, flat out. Even the same music.
Yeah,
like they mentioned that Giant Bomb, same music, a very similar setting, and very similar, action, almost judo gun moves. That's what made it's not just it's a close combat. They went for setting, aesthetic, and movement.
Oh yeah, I had a shitty grin.
And so did I, because look, that's awesome, but it's like that compared with, hey, let's sneak in there real quietly. It's like,
no,
those are two completely different styles of game, and I don't know how they're gonna mix them.
Okay, so I loved a lot of this. I love the idea, but so I have my reservations, and that comes from seeing people try this idea before and it falling apart because you end up like, how do you do this? How do you make each character that you pick up unique? And I was trying to think of ways to do it. Maybe you have a set pool of NPCs that kind of rotate, and if you pick one up, they're taken out of the NPC rotation. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have this individual person. You'd have to make so many.
There was an article on Kotaku about this that I was scanning through briefly before the show, and they compared it to XCOM. the way XCOM does characters, in that it gives you a kind of very brief overview of who this person is, and then you kind of come to fill out their personality through playing as them. So like, in XCOM, you have one character who you give a shotgun to, and they kind of end up being like, oh wow, they're kind of aggressive and they're really getting into the thick of the fray. They don't care about their lives. And then you've got other characters that personality emerges through gameplay in XCOM, and they compare this to that, which sounds like an interesting route to go.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense. Being able to just take somebody and then build them up how you want.
Yeah.
Because the second part of this, where it was going over the individual characters that kind of had roles, like the Hitman, it seemed like they kind of already had classes or like roles to fill out. And if it's that, then you're going to have a generic problem, I think. Like,
yeah, well, I'm curious, is the way it's structured going to be, oh, this is potentially a stealth mission. This is potentially an action mission. And so I need to look at, my pool of stealth hackers. I can send one of them into the stealth mission. Oh, but I've also got some, combat specialists that I could send on another mission. Well, what happens if I have like one combat specialist and 8 hackers, and it's like, oh, but now I've got a combat mission to go to. Oh, but my combat specialist got kidnapped. Do I then have to go out and recruit another
one?
Is that what it's going to be like?
That sounds awesome to me.
Yeah, that could be cool. I'm curious how they're going to
It's human resources management. It's great.
I just want to point out that
that's a big ass drone.
This construction
that's the cargo drone
is like the most badass construction work. Look, he just pulls out a nail gun in this part, and he's just like sidearming that bitch. Just yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any construction workers that are actually like that.
All of a sudden, the trades seem so much cooler.
Shooting grenades out of the air.
Everybody's like, when I grow up, I want to be a construction worker and shoot people with nail guns. Watch Dogs has come. This game, keep in mind, if it delivers what it has shown us, we have literally been with this title seeing stuff thinking this looks so cool, and it was not, and they did not deliver. So I'm hoping that this is not an early look. Obviously, this is coming out on, what did they say, 2021?
No, November.
This is November. This is November 17th.
Oh no, maybe that was Assassin's Creed. I forget which one, but I think actually I forget. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So hopefully they do deliver, but I'm having a little bit of flashbacks because Watch Dogs 1, you and I, Nick, sat there and said, oh, this is going to be so cool. And I bought it day one based on my preview that I'd seen of it, and it was nothing like what they had shown us. So I've already been burnt once by this title.
That was old lying Ubisoft, and they
made a pledge. Ubisoft?
They made a pledge to stop promising stuff and showing stuff they couldn't deliver. Like they made a pledge, and ever since that, which was like 2 or 3 years ago, everything they've shown has been what they've promised.
Okay, I don't know if these. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know if these release dates are right. Assassin's Creed is November 17th, but according to Google, Watch Dogs Legion is November 15th, which I think.
I thought it was. They said November 20th. There was one coming out the 17th, and there was one coming out the 20th, which is when I said to you, hey, I don't know which console it is. I think one of those consoles is coming out on the 17th.
17th is Assassin's Creed. That is what they announced. That was in the show.
Then I think we're going to see a console on that day.
I think this is a bad, no one should be launching stuff in November as of right now.
October.
Because that is, October? Okay. Because in
Watch
November
Dogs is end of October.
Okay.
In November, Cyberpunk 2077 is supposed to be coming out, and the industry needs to know that month is going to be a wash for game releases, and they just need to not do it.
That says that they have a lot of fucking confidence on Valhalla. Mm-hmm. If there is something right now to go up against Cyberpunk, it would be Valhalla right now.
I mean, November is also just a big month. I imagine that's...
Oh, yeah.
They're probably launching...
October 29th, AC Ray says, and I believe him because AC Ray is always right.
Halo,
that's
but
true.
They haven't announced anything about Halo.
Acme News. Cyberpunk's getting an anime, and I'm kind of hyped.
Of course it is. I'm kind of okay with that.
That's fitting.
It's in 2 years though, which makes me sad.
Oh. I will say though, the one game that looked cool that afterwards they were showing. Oh wait, this is the
John Wick.
John Wick, yeah.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they actually showed an extended gameplay sequence of hyperspace. After the Valhalla sequence, and watching that extended gameplay, I was like, okay, I will never play this game because it looks like
hyperspace. I didn't see that one.
The battle royale one.
Oh, okay.
It looks made explicitly for PC because the movement they really emphasize, the freedom of movement, and it looks like the PC is necessary for that, but just because of the range of motion that you get with a mouse as opposed to a controller, the way the people are moving through the environment, it's a lot of like the vision is spinning very quickly to a degree that even I was having trouble just following the action. And it made me realize that this game looks like it's made explicitly for the kind of camera movement that you can only get with a PC as opposed to a console. Like, I'm sure it might come out for a console at some point, but the like I said, the speed of the movement seemed very much against what you would get with a console, to the point that you would not be able to move around the environment in the same way that they do in this video with a controller. And so,
probably not, but it's not terrible typically. Like, again, everyone's playing with that same kind of handicap, so
yeah. Well, like I said, that's why it seemed more about the movement. We're just, this is the bunny hopping. There are people bunny hopping around the environment, except now they're bunny hopping and then off of walls. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, this is not something I'll do with a controller. This, like, the speed at which they're turning around to jump out of a window, do a 180, then double jump back through that window.
Yeah, that might be a little hard. I plan to download this game tonight because the open beta is out, and I'm gonna give it a shot.
Hyperscape, not space. Sorry,
is it Hyperscape?
Yeah, Hyperscape.
Okay, sorry.
Like landscape. So, I'm gonna try it because I'm a fan of battle royale games. Like, not a diehard, this is the only type I want to play, but I've played most of the big ones, right? Like, I've tried Battlefield 5, I've tried Warzone, PUBG, Fortnite. So I'm interested. They seem to have some cool things to mix up the formula. In this case, it's powers, it looks like, and a new end game.
Yeah, I'll be interested what you think of the end game, because watching it, I realized that going to capture the flag changes it significantly because it allows you to be more defensive.
Yeah.
Because what happened in this thing, you got to the end and a guy was on top of a building, got the flag, and then just kind of hung out on top of that building, hopping around, waiting for the timer to tick down while his teammates fought people below. And that made me realize, like, oh, a lot of how battle royales typically end is you need to kill someone, so that means you need to get aggressive, and you're both hunting each other in this very tight space, which makes for a very, very intense last end game. Was this felt more defensive, much like they were focusing on turtling, staying away from people, which seemed like it just an extremely different type of end game that, for me watching it, I was like, this isn't quite as exciting to watch as like two people trying to hunt each other down. So I'm curious what you would think of it after playing it.
This movement is also something that looks like it's trying to change the formula a bit. Like, there have been some instances of people trying to incorporate kind of free movement, but this is insane.
Yeah, in fact, you know what it reminds me of?
shit.
It reminds me a little bit of what is that game? It debuted as the game that had the Halo trailer on it, or the Halo demo on it. And all I can think
Crackdown.
of is Crackdown. All I can think was Watch Dogs. Yeah, Crackdown. It reminds me a little bit of Crackdown in the way that it's movement and kind of how it traverses through in the space.
Yeah.
It's like a battle royale Crackdown.
Oh, That building de-res. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the aesthetics of it. I'm a fan of the style, even if I'm looking at it going like, "Ah, shit, this is too much."
I'm actually. I think that I disagree with you. I think that this is something that, even though I do not like battle royale, watching these things, I just find them absolutely silly. I'm actually really enjoy watching this simply because of the movement.
Yeah,
it's meant to be more kinetic and like frantic.
Yeah.
I was a little upset that they didn't mention anything about Rainbow Six Quarantine, like the spinoff of Rainbow Six Siege, because Siege is one of those games that I'm like, I will never play this, but I really like watching it.
It is a fun game, but speaking of Siege, well, first, that hyperspace or
hyperscape.
I ruined it for people.
Yeah, I am very influenced by that, but that was another like post-apocalyptic kind of dystopian future. I guess it's not apocalypse, but it's just kind of like Ubisoft's going for a theme.
I specifically remember they opened that by going like, "Imagine if all of the world's fears came true," and it's like, yeah, that's kind of easy.
It's called 2020 this year.
Yeah.
Listen, you started this story.
We're living it. We do not need to imagine. We just look out our windows and open up our Google newsfeed. We can see exactly what happens when all of our worst fears come true.
But yeah, so that I just wanted to point out that game had more of a story than I thought it was going to, and it was just in theme with every other game that they had been releasing.
Yeah.
But the
pretty much the entire Ubisoft calendar this year starts off with "in a world
that needs liberating."
That's right.
In 2020.
The most bizarre game I saw was Elite Squad. So
yes, we were talking about that when we were watching it. It's like, what is this?
It looks like Rainbow Six Mobile, but then they've got Sam Fisher, and then like they're trying to break out what looks like a villain from something, and I don't.
Yeah, so I've played Rainbow Six Siege. I think I have like 400 hours into the game now. Mm-hmm. So I've played it a lot, and it was so weird. It's like it is mobile graphics, like really cheap mobile graphics, but like character art of people, like that character right there, the girl with
the makeup with the skull makeup.
She is a defender, and like she's attacking a base. Like they're just using stuff that makes no sense to me, and this is clearly not Rainbow Six like mobile. That's not what this is. This person doesn't exist.
Part of me wondered if this is like some sort of gotcha Ubisoft game where it's like, hey, we're gonna have this mobile shooter, and it's just gonna star like the cast of Ubisoft characters, right? Like you can get Sam Fisher. I'm sure that maybe you'll get an assassin at some point from Assassin's Creed. Here's all the Rainbow Six characters. Like one of those type of games where
Tom Clancy's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, well, like maybe you'll like put a quarter in a quarter machine, a slot machine, and you'll get you got Sam Fisher, you got Ezio, you got Skullface Lady, you got Shield Guy. One of those type of mobile games.
So from what I understand, they're doing a Tom Clancy Ghost Recon, or not Ghost Recon, but Splinter Cell. I forget what his Sam Fisher's games. Splinter Cell.
Yeah, Splinter Cell.
They're doing a cross.
Tom Clancy verse.
Well, they're doing a crossover with Siege. Like that's a thing they have planned.
Okay.
So like this could just be in preparation of that because they usually do 2 new operators, and they had Sam Fisher and then the guy on the roof that was sniping. Like, and then there was a drone strike, which I have no idea. That is not Siege, but is all the pieces of Siege, and it's just so bizarre with no real explanation of what's going on.
So in the chat, AC Wraith linked to a Ubisoft description of it, and it says it is a free-to-play tactical RPG that comes with a roster of 70 characters spanning the Tom Clancy universe of games.
70?
70.
Holy crap!
So it is.
It is. It's Kingdom Hearts.
It is a Clancy verse. I feel like it's a Clancy verse gotcha tactical RPG. Assemble a squad of 5 before setting out on a multi-chapter campaign.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad.
It comes out August 27th, so wait a month and a half, and we'll see.
If Tom Clancy was alive, I wonder what he would just be like.
Tom Clancy would not give a fuck.
Fuck no.
Tom Clancy would be too busy bathing in his $100 bills.
Yep, that's right. He would be swimming in his swimming pool of
he knew
gold
what he
coins,
was doing
like Scrooge McDuck.
When he sold that name to Ubisoft, he was like, I know you're going to make a lot of stuff, but you know what?
So can we get a Donald Trump series of sim games? Can we do that?
Donald Trump's pandemic.
Actually, yeah, that's Donald
Plague Trump's Inc. Casino.
It's just Plague Inc.
It's right, Plague Inc. Plague Inc. where you literally do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one? Was it Rainbow Six that they showed?
They talked about Siege, but they didn't really announce anything new for it. They just kind of showed it and talked about how people, hey, look at our fan base.
There was
something about, I forget which one, where they're bringing back AI. The
AI.
Was it in the preview? I think it was. It was before it started. Ubisoft, has the pre-show stuff because they mentioned a bunch of games that they didn't mention during the forward.
I think I know what you're talking about. Tom Clancy's Breakpoint.
That's it.
That's a game that's out, and it's a co-op shooter like Tom Clancy game, but they are adding in teammate AI.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're playing alone, you only play alone, whereas now apparently they're adding in a year later the ability to bring in team AI, so you don't have to play alone. But that wasn't mentioned in the show. So
no, wasn't mentioned in the show. Another one was it Spiritfarer? We saw it, Nick, at
at PAX.
At PAX, the kind of had that hand-drawn feel where it was a little bit of a platformer.
Yeah, that was a cool one. I guess they're publishing it?
That got mentioned in the pre-show.
That's
stuff.
Cool. They got the Ubisoft picked that up.
Mm-hmm. Ubisoft has picked that up.
Yeah, I'm looking through this list of things they announced. Yeah, the Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, Hyperscape, and Watch Dogs.
Another thing that they mentioned that they brought out is Trials is going to get a new map called the Mega Map. Keep talking among yourselves. I'll pull it up.
They also mentioned Brawlhalla, but I don't think anyone cares about that.
Briefly. Yeah. I was overall kind of disappointed that they just kind of showed more of games we already know about, and then at the fucking end, Yves is like, and we have more to show you. Because if we've learned anything, it's that without E3, publishers will drag this shit out for as long as they can.
Right.
Even like the Cyberpunk thing a couple weeks ago, we were like, oh, they're going to talk about the game. And they were basically just, hey, look at this new mode. Next month, we'll have more to talk about. It's like, motherfucker. Everyone is dragging this shit out for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, this is kind of the downside of not. If anything, that has made me appreciate E3 because it forced everyone to have a fucking deadline. There was no okay, we're just going to slowly release information over the months of June, July, August, and September.
Keeps them relevant. Keeps people talking about it.
I think that's what they think.
I don't have that kind of time to follow you down for this shit.
That's what they think, but in the end, it's my response is, oh, okay, well, you showed more Assassin's Creed, more Watch Dogs. Okay, is that it? Okay. What about all those other games that you announced years ago that you have nothing on?
Right.
It's
not For Honor? About that. Everyone wants to know about For Honor.
I want to know about Skull and Bones.
Yeah. There's a lot of games that people want to know about.
I feel like Skull and Bones got canceled and they're just not saying anything about it.
I want to know about... they have said that they want to bring cross-platform play to all of their games. So I want to hear about that. I want to see where they're going with that.
Actually, speaking of that, I want to know more about Roller Derby. Remember, we played that at PAX a year ago. And that was actually a really fun, pick up and play.
I totally forgot about that.
kind of along the lines of Rocket League.
Right.
And I was like, I want to know more about what they're doing with roller derby, because
was it called roller derby?
I forget. It was some like
Roller Champions.
Yeah.
That's it right here. We got it.
More about that. Like, is that coming out to console anytime soon? Is that just still in beta? Are they just like?
Oh yeah, no, that was in the PS5 release.
Was
it PS5 showcase? Yeah, this is going to be a free-to-play game.
Because it's hella fun.
I don't remember any of that from the PS5 game, but I remember, we played it and it was super fun.
Oh yeah. Wait, no, ooh, my bad. It's either PS5 or it was the PC Gamer Show. I've watched so many of these things now that they're blended together.
Well,
it was probably PC Gamer Show, because I know it is a free-to-play game and I know it is on PC.
But yeah, the PC Gamer Show.
Beyond that,
someone mentioned this. It's coming out. That's what I know for sure. Like, it's still good.
Still a thing. Still exists.
Yeah. Looked fun to me, honestly.
It was super fun. And like that's the thing about the Ubisoft show. It was like, oh, here's a couple big games, and then we're just not going to talk about anything that we've announced in the past several other years.
Because it's not just stealing the ball, then you have to score it in a ring, kind of like, I mean, this is going to be like totally nerdy historical, kind of like the game that they play in the historical game they play in the Aztecs played, or is it the Incas? The Mayans.
Oh yeah, Aztecs.
The Mayans played.
Yeah.
This isn't the Mayans. This is Quidditch. This is like a quarter of Quidditch.
Sort of, but the Mayans invented it. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. Quidditch, you could argue, is inspired by the Mayan game.
Yep.
No, Quidditch came first. It is in the old record that Quidditch inspired the Aztecs.
That's true. You know what? At this point, I would, if you told me that's what J.K. Rowling said, I'd believe you. Wizards just shit on the floor and they inspired death games.
Yeah, so as I recall, I can't believe I remember this, is that you get more points for scoring the more times that you go around the ring with the ball in your hand.
Yeah.
So like if you make 3 or 4 circuits, you actually get 4 points when you throw the ball. So you're constantly balancing, like, do I think I can keep control of the ball long enough, or do I want to go for the quick points now?
Okay, and cool. It looks like AC Wraith said that they had a community update in June, which I'm going to get old man yells at Cloud for a moment and be, if there's anything I don't like about modern game like news and developer announcements, is that it feels like everything is put on my shoulders to be like, you should follow this game. And it's like, I don't want to follow your game. Like, tell me when your shit is out. And they're like, no, follow us to get all the latest updates. And I'm like,
if you're not following us, then you're not a real fan. It's like, yes, I am. I just don't have time to fucking follow you all the time.
Like, if I want to know more about this, I have to follow it individually. If I want to know more about any game, you have to do the work of keeping up with it, because it seems like a lot of game development is now very insular with its own community. And so if you don't follow that community, you won't know anything about those games until like a day before it's out.
Right. So anyway, yeah, that's
Ubisoft overall pretty cool.
Oh, overall I'm not mad at Ubisoft Forward. I certainly am more interested in the number of games that they talked about than I was when I walked in. I'm way more excited about Valhalla than I was. Yeah, I'm actually a little bit excited about Far Cry, and I find Far Cry games a little dark for my taste, and I got enough like crazy conspiracy bullshit going on in my life, and yeah, that game dicks you over on a regular and makes you feel horrible. And sometimes I don't want that. But I'm actually kind of interested in that game. So I'm more than, but Valhalla, that's the only game so far this year that I want it. Take my money.
I was excited for it, actually. I was like, okay, this makes me want to play an Assassin's Creed game again, which was cool.
Well, I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know enough about it because there's a lot of Assassin's Creed games that I have not gotten just because it's like, meh. And the fact that it was Vikings was like, all right, I'm a little more interested now. But it's just another Assassin's Creed game. It's just set in Vikings. Who cares? But there's so many more interesting, different variations, different mechanics that some of them old, some of them brand new, that I'm very interested in seeing how this plays out. This seems like a game that is an evolution for the series as opposed to an Assassin's Creed game with a new skin on it.
Yeah, like it's becoming an action RPG than it is like a stealth kind of action game that it was.
And that's it started taking with Origins.
By the way, can I say that I want to work for Ubisoft on the Assassin's Creed teams because they get to do some really fun shit.
Yeah, it did show
researching these games.
They went to Norway and went through some sort of Viking life tour.
Went through a Viking life tour, then they took a ship from Norway, took a boat from Norway to England so that they could get the feel of what it would look like from leaving this, kind of barren, hill, rocky mountainous territory with very little arable land, and then sailing across this very perilous sea and seeing this field of green with rolling hills and sheep on it, and how that this would be like, oh my God, this is a place where we want to be. We want to live here. Just that kind of moment. And it's like, I want to do that. I want to hang out and see how the Vikings lived and eat and drink like the Vikings. We need to just have a Viking theme. We have to win the lottery. Then we have to make the next GameHounds game
just
Viking
live like Vikings.
Themed, right? Where we have to research the gray blocks of
put a little Viking helmet on them.
Of Norway, right? Well, we have to research.
No, all we have to do is get a sponsorship by Raid Shadow Legend, and I think we could do it.
Yep.
Like, that's all we have to do. Just go talk to them, Edie. You can handle that.
No problem. I can sell anything.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought the event was probably the best I've seen so far. Like, there was a nice mix of actual gameplay and like information for the games, and it was short and simple. Like, I enjoyed that.
There is something really nice that I got to watch it on a Sunday in my living room, and it was an hour. Bam, bam, in, out, done. So the downside is that if we'd have heard a lot more about these games that we want or are interested in, it would have been a much longer event. And I don't, I like the fact that you can give me a short, sharp shock of information.
I'm okay if you're 2 hours, if the 2 hours are interesting.
2 hours a lot of times. Long time sitting there watching shit.
But AC Wraith is also I would say that Sony's one was better. I think they show up more interesting.
Forget Your Life says, no, boss man. It's research, not a week-long yacht party. Yeah.
Yeah. Devolver also had a little show.
Yeah.
And I'm on a Kotaku page where they show all the games they announced. And there are just two that I want to mention. One in particular.
What? Are you okay?
I may have kneed my desk and everything shook.
Ooh.
Earthquake! Sorry,
one of the things they mentioned in Devolver was a game called Carrion, Carrion, which is like a horror side-scrolling game I've seen at PAX like for the past 2 fucking years, and it seems like it's finally coming out at the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
But then one that AC Ray specifically mentioned that we need to buy, Edie, and play is a game coming out on August 4th called Fall Guys, which is basically stupid physical game show challenge the game. It's got like 60 players competing at the same time for one dumb physical challenge and trying not to be the people knocked off. It's called Fall Guys. And it's coming out for PS4 and PC, so that means we can play it together.
Okay. All right. Oh, Nick, it's The Floor is Lava, the game edition. Oh, no. Oh, I want this game now.
All right, I'm going to join you for this because this looks amazing.
This looks really, this looks very cool.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's like dozens of people and not just two people. It's just everybody.
So yeah, appropriate for the conversations we have had.
Yeah. And so this is out of Devolver?
Yeah.
When is this releasing?
This is August 4th.
Oh, wow. Okay, so next month.
And you said it was it free to play or
no, just on PS4. Yeah.
All right. So what else was Devolver announce?
Like I said, Carrion. That's the end of this month. Ouija, which is like another cool horror-looking game coming out on Switch, and that's like the end of this month too. Or maybe not. That one's soon though.
It's not spelled like Ouija.
Oh no, Oliga. 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 This is my type of little game. Serious Sam 4, they had a trailer for. No announcement for release date, it looks like. But it's Serious Sam. Like, there's kind of not much more you can say about Serious Sam than that it exists. And then they had
over the years, but I've never nothing. It is nothing to me.
Yeah, a gameplay trailer for Shadow Warrior 3.
Looks like they took the assets from Far Cry.
Yeah. And then something for Shadow Warrior 3, which is a franchise that I was never followed that closely, but it's, in that Serious Sam vein of chaotic first-person shooters, and it's coming out 2021.
Wait. AC Wraith linked this. Devolver Land Expo is a first-person marketing simulator set within an abandoned convention center after the annual
game?
Devolver Digital Expo was mysteriously canceled. It's a game?
Oh, geez, I saw this video, but I thought it was just like a... Oh, it's available now for free on Steam. And it's basically a playable commercial for other Devolver video games. Because, yeah, you're playing... That's a weird thing.
This looks kind of cool. South Hall. Yep, that is. I'll tell you right now. That's E3. I mean, that's the LA Convention Center.
VR E3 would be amazing. Use that
Actually,
VR chat to just do E3 events. That would be sick.
Yep. AC Wraith says, I've played Carrion demo. It's good.
It looks really good. Like, I've seen it packed so many times, and the first time I saw it, I was like, that's the game for me. I want that. This just looks weird, but cool.
Yeah.
And hey, for free too. That's cool.
Yeah, no complaints.
Which is it's basically, like they said, it's a playable commercial, which is a neat way to advertise shit.
Yeah, so you can go by the Serious Sam booth. Very cool. Explore the Fall Guys booth. Explore the Shadow. Oh, that's right. Shadow Warrior 3 they announced.
Mm-hmm. They had a gameplay trailer.
It's funny. It was a goalie that loved Shadow Warrior. He's like, he played 2 and then he liked 2 so much he bought 1. I bought 2 and I never played it. It's still sitting on my shelf right now.
Huh.
Never been opened. I really should play it. But I think I bought it for the 360, which would mean I'd have to
hook up some old cables.
Hook up my 360. Yeah. Actually, do I still have it? No, the 360 is still sitting on my shelf. It's just not hooked up.
I don't even have mine anymore.
I've still got mine. I
have all mine.
So do I.
The only console I don't have, I gave to Nick. For you. Chaos. You.
For me? What'd I do?
Was my condition, or I told Nick I would give him my Wii U if he bought Evolve.
Hey, listen. I stand by that game. I loved that game. It got horribly mismanaged and taken apart, but I love it, and it was worth a Wii U. At least not my Wii U. It was worth.
Like I said,
it's worth somebody else's Wii U. Good to know.
Getting it for free as a part of Evolve was perfectly fine. And you know how much I played that?
Well, as much as I did.
I played a little bit of the game, the cute little game where you burn stuff in a fireplace.
Little Diablo.
Was it Little Diablo? No, it's not called that. But it's a really cute, really
where you burn up toys in the fireplace.
Yeah, and there's actually like a cool story about almost like climate change and growing up. Mm-hmm. I played that for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I did. I played a lot of it on that, and that's the only thing.
Well, because I had beaten it on PC. Right. I played it on the Wii U for about 20 minutes, and that was all I played of the
What was the name of it? I know that the chat room would remember. It was a game about, it was a little girl, I believe.
Fireplace game, Little Inferno.
Little Inferno, that's what it was. Thank you. Yes, Little Inferno. Great game. Really good game.
And 20 minutes of that is all I played of the Wii U. And
I remember getting that console the week that I had my shoulder reconstructed. So I was, had my arm in a sling like this, and it was that way for 6 weeks. And I had a Wii U, and I'm like, yay, new console, and I'm going to be sitting here the whole time. And it was, you've got this screen that you've got to hold up. Because I had Zombie U. And it's like, I'm trying to use it, but I can't because it's with one hand because I had this arm, pasted across me for 6 weeks. So it's like, wow, I can't even fucking play video games. 6 weeks of sitting on the couch doing nothing high off my head with painkillers, and I couldn't actually play anything.
I know that I played Zombie, but I'm trying to remember if I played Zombie U on the Wii U or if I played it on another console, because I know it came out for another console.
Yeah, you did.
Or did I play it at PAX?
I don't remember. You didn't play it because I forgot to give you my copy of Zombie U.
Okay.
And I had it long after the Wii U was gone.
Shit,
I know. I may still have it.
Maybe I played a demo of it. I know I've at least played it. It must have been at PAX.
No, you were playing it when it came out, and I want to say that you played it on the PC.
That could be. Maybe I did that.
Yeah.
That was back when I had a capable PC.
Yeah. I think you played it on the PC because that was kind of...
It's just weird. It's weird to not remember where I played a game.
Yeah. All right. So, we still have a couple of other news things to talk about. Let's see.
I
already talked about the Trials Racing. By the way, Trials Rising, the DLC that I was talking about, the Giga track is the longest track they have ever had. It's going to come out on July 16th, so next week. And it's the longest track in the Trials franchise, and it's about testing your endurance. It spans 5 different environments. And it's super extreme. So if you are a big Trials Rising fan, this is going to be your jam.
Sounds beautiful and awful.
Yep. Let's see. In other news, I think I made something right here. Yes, I did. Let's see. I already talked about Trials Rising. Final Fantasy. The mega patch that we have talked about with Final Fantasy 14. It has been delayed again. It was supposed to come out in June, and then it didn't come out in June, and everybody's like, where is it? And they're like, it's coming. And so now they have made an announcement that patch 5.3, which is going to fundamentally change the game and take out supposedly all the suck, it's coming out on August 11th. But I don't know if I'm going to go back. It's going to have to take out a lot of suck because I just paid a shit ton of it again, and I'm really not interested in going back yet again to see how much stuff was taken out unless I know that all of it is out.
See, it's funny you say that. The evangelist for Final Fantasy 14, when I was playing it, you kept saying, just keep playing, it gets better. Just keep playing, it gets better.
Well, yeah, and it does. It does get better in the end, but that's that early on that it was really hard to overcome.
I'm not going to play the game over again, but now that I know that game's coming out, I'm like, maybe I'll go back and finish the story.
Yeah, I mean, I could go back and finish the story with you. Actually, I think you're farther along in the story than I am. I could go back and finish the story. I may very well, but I don't know that I'm going to start over yet another character and go another 50 levels.
I wouldn't expect you to. That's just absurd. People that do that are crazy people.
Thanks. Let's see where. The other news that we mentioned last week. And then we knew that there was a big announcement and didn't come back to because we got overshadowed by Ubisoft. Spiders announced its new game. And as we suspected, it is not a sequel. I'm a little disappointed. I wouldn't have minded a sequel to Greedfall. It was possibility in my head because Greedfall was by far their most successful title yet. But they announced a whole new game called Steel Rising, which is essentially robots during the French Revolution. It looks really good. Trailer. Sorry, I can't.
So what like mediocre version this game is it like trying to mimic? Like what middle ground are we trying to? Dragon Age? Okay.
It's always Dragon Age.
Yes, it's always a Dragon Age version. But it's very cool, a robotic Marie Antoinette. And, it's not no gameplay. It was just a trailer. But it definitely created a interesting mood. Obviously, it's going to be a long ways away because they didn't even have anything that's moving. It was all stills with the exception of the flame effects. I have enough faith in them that they will do a good job. Will they do a great job? Probably not. But then again, it's spiders. They're not. There's no such thing technically as a AA game, but I would call them a AA game.
They're aggressively $50 game. Like,
yeah,
they don't get $60, but $50, yes.
Yeah, they're aggressively $50. They have great hair effects.
As someone who played one of the early games a long time ago and enjoyed it well enough, I'm kind of happy to see that they're still around and still making things and have achieved a pretty impressive level of success. Like other small developers like them have shuttered and gone away, and it's just nice to see one that has not.
Yeah.
Hope I was muted.
Yes.
Okay, good. I mean, I think that's the strangest thing about them is probably just every studio that's done moderately successful has been ate by some larger studio.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really surprised that they haven't. Of all,
they're the kind of studio that you don't see anymore that make, B games.
Mm-hmm. B games.
Yeah. Like the B game developer died with the PS4 and Xbox One generation.
Right.
And so to see them stick around is like, good on you.
And it makes me wonder why no one has picked them up. Like, why hasn't Tencent bought them?
When someone ever comes up to them, there's like $1 billion. You're not $1 billion.
Yeah.
$1 billion. And let's see the other bit of news. Amazon Game Studios MMO New World, which they have not had a lot of great games so far. But they had announced this game, New World, and it was supposed to be coming out soon.
In August, I remember.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out next month, and they made an announcement that it has been delayed to spring 2021. Those who signed up for the beta or pre-ordered the game or played it in alpha testing will have a special opportunity to play a limited time version of its originally scheduled August 25th release date. So they're, I guess, going to put out, a demo, a demo game for those who pre-ordered or indicate, had some kind of what's the word I want? Sweat equity into the game to this point, or early money equity into the game. It's going to contain the content that was initially going to be the game at launch, but they say now that, look, I guess they're creating more of it. They wanted to be more middle game and end game content in order to keep people engaged with it. So essentially, people played it, didn't like it.
I wonder if Crucibles kind of scared them a bit. And
probably.
Yep.
On top of that, that's a weird sentence that, like, yeah, we need to expand our middle game and late game, which sounds like, yeah, we built the start of a game and then we stopped. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh, your start was good, and what exactly did you build if you didn't have middle game and end game?
Like saying, okay, I want to build more end game. That's cool. That means you have like a middle, that there was a game that you were making, but it's like, no, this was just the first 5 chapters.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I want to do. We're building a new car. We're delaying the car because I need to. We need to build in more body and tires and steering wheel and seats and seat belts. And so what?
We were going to release this car like this.
We were going to release this car, but we've decided to actually build more body and tires.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other car released like was a car, but it was
right.
Like 5
it was
miles
essentially sort of a car, but we have a really, really, really good dashboard doll. You know, like the air freshener is amazing. But we decided that we wanted to add more car to the car.
Yeah, that's just bizarre.
And then my final thing was Super Hot. Nick! Super Hot news!
Super Hot is one of the best games ever made.
I know, and guess what? There's a new Super Hot title coming out. It's called Mind Control Delete. I guess it's kind of started out as DLC, and then they just expanded it. It is now a new standalone game. It's 4 times as large as the original Super Hot game, and it's launching July 16th, Nick. Oh, no.
And you say it's free for people that own the original one?
Free for people who own the first game.
On Steam or what?
PC, PlayStation 4, PC, this article says PC, PlayStation 4, and PC.
There is no Xbox anymore. It's just PC.
No. So yeah, I would imagine they meant one of those to be Xbox. One of those PCs were an Xbox. So yeah, it owners of the first game will get this new one for free. So the Super Hot team began development on Mind Control Delete in 2017, right after Super Hot came out. And they were envisioning it originally as a small batch of downloadable content for the original.
Yeah, because I've seen this on Steam like years ago.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that
must have been what it was.
Yeah, is that they had said, hey, we're going to release this by the end of the year. They were supposed to be out by the end of 2017 as some new content for it. And instead, they just kept working on it and building it, and now it's an all new game set in the universe, and it's more expansive. It's got new game mechanics that take advantage of the time bending power, more skills, hacks, and special techniques, new enemies, and new characters.
So I'm on the FAQ
It's a whole
page.
new car. It is literally as opposed to what Amazon's got going, it is actually, they were going to just release a new model, and they decided to build a pickup truck.
So this means if you buy it anytime before the 16th, then you are eligible for this free game.
In theory.
No, I'm on the FAQ.
Oh,
this is what it says. You are eligible for a free copy of MCD if you purchased Super Hot before the 16th of July 2024, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Epic Games, Origin, or GOG.
Everybody.
So this does not extend to major free giveaways like Twitch Prime or Games with Gold. This also does not apply if you only own Superhot VR and not the original Superhot.
Which, by the way, VR is amazing.
It is?
Oh, yeah. It's so much fun.
That is the one thing that's really tempting me to get a VR headset.
It's amazing.
What this means is that I'm probably going to buy Superhot for PlayStation. Just so that I can get this, because I have it on PC.
Oh, okay.
It was $5 on the summer Steam sale, and I bought it and I refunded it because I was just not into it at the time.
It's so good. It is, I genuinely think, Superhot and One Finger Death Punch are the two single greatest action games ever made. In my opinion, those are the pinnacle of action games, and gaming can die. But that's all I need.
You need to play the Superhot VR. It is so much fun.
I've seen Jeff Gersman on Giant Bomb play through it a lot, and it looks really cool.
It is.
If I ever get a PlayStation VR headset, like, I will get Superhot VR. That'll be the first thing I get.
So in the VR version, you can throw the weapons and stuff just like that in the normal game. But since you're standing still, it teleports you to new spots, and you kind of have to take enemies out as they come at you, right? Well, you're spawning on like different points of a map, but it's all contiguous. So when you spawn, if you would chuck something towards where you were spawning, you could catch it and then use it at the new spot. And I would do this, and it's so much fun. Or you could just chuck it because you know people are going to spawn there, and then when you spawn to the new spot, they're getting hit in the back of the head with your empty guns. And you just have to deal with like one person. And it's amazing.
That sounds cool. And yeah, I do think Stick It to the Man was, I don't know if I'd say genius, but I remember that game. That was a fun game.
Oh, Stick It to the Man.
It was like a platformer puzzle game that kind of looked like it was made out of cardboard.
Right.
That was a cool game.
I liked it. It was fine. It was not, not anything that stood out as being a great game.
No, but it stood out enough in my memory that when you say Stick It to the Man, I remember
it.
That was a fun game.
Yeah.
Also, I should buy One Finger Death Punch 2. I know that's out on Switch.
So, anything else that anybody's got?
No. I did all my stuff at the beginning. So.
Yep. You're cashed.
I didn't know that about Superhot, though. That's really good.
I'm so glad I could bring that to you.
I'm going to go fucking buy it.
It's like his brain is just locked up now. It's like Superhot, new Superhot, and it's free for me. New Superhot. 10 minutes to Wapner.
Which just means I'm just not going to play Elder Scrolls with you.
I know. It's all right. I'll forgive you this one because I know how much you love Superhot.
We'll keep playing together. It's like a Saturday game night now.
Yep.
It comes out one day before Ghosts.
Oh, shit, you're right.
So which one are you going to play, Nick?
Elder
Scrolls, Ghosts, or Superhot?
Oh,
well, he was not going to play Elder Scrolls, no matter what.
Elder Scrolls is the perennial background game.
I say this as a redhead. Yeah, that's your redheaded stepchild. It's all right. I understand. But it's always there for you. We're loyal.
Yeah. That's the beauty of not having a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
Is that I will keep it installed and just go back to it whenever I don't have something to immediately play. Unlike Final Fantasy, which I'm like, I let that shit lapse, and they have to earn my attention back.
Yep.
I'm still surprised that it has a monthly subscription. I didn't think any MMO did.
I don't think. I mean, here's how their subscription works, and why it sort of works is you get a lot for that subscription. You get crown coins, a monthly allotment of crown coins.
Well, you're talking about ESO.
ESO, yeah. What were you talking about?
Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Like a monthly subscription to play.
Yeah.
Like, I know other people have that and you get bonuses for it, which makes sense. But
you get a lot of bonuses for it.
I thought all MMOs now were that sort of free-to-play thing.
Yeah, well,
I will be very curious what New World is.
Now that I have AB'd ESO and Final Fantasy, I am seeing the downside. I'm seeing it in a better perspective because I've never really played two console-based MMOs one right after another, and yeah, I'd maligned ESO because I had played it so much, and Final Fantasy, I had good memories of it, but then putting them side by side, it really became obvious to me how Final Fantasy, no, it's no disrespect to people who love that world and love that story, but if you are going to look at it strictly from a gameplay version and a satisfying experience for just random guy or girl, ESO is head and shoulders, does everything right. And Final Fantasy does a lot of things wrong. A big contributor to that being that I have to pay $15 a month to play a game that I get a better experience playing for free.
It's been nice being on the GameHounds. It's been wonderful.
We're all entitled to our opinions, but for me, I'm having way more fun grinding again through ESO than I had grinding through Final Fantasy. And I played a lot of it. I mean, I played almost all the way through it again.
And I will say, to be fair to 14, like, I think about that game. Like, I think about going back to it. And so whenever that patch drops, it's a good motivation to just be like, yeah, okay, I'll pay $15 and see how that story ends.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
I'm curious to see
how
a
lot of hours in it.
Because I like where it was going. Like, it was getting up to an interesting part. And I'm like, that's cool.
And that's not even the part that's been praised.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the thing. So,
and I've never actually been to the part that was praised.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm stuck in like the the first expansion. Like, I never got past that content. So I'm still like ways behind as well. And I love the structure of Final Fantasy's combat better than I like Elder Scroll combat.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that.
Like, that they're so different that I can't be like Final Fantasy's is better, because it's not that. It's just different. And when you get to the later game mechanics, they work a lot better. It's a lot more structured, where in ESO, it's kind of everyone just scrambling to do the right things and getting the right area, like getting that heel on the ground under the team. Whereas, like, again, Final Fantasy's more structured. It's kind of a dance.
Right,
and it's a little bit better.
That I have to say is superior that Final Fantasy 14 has over ESO, is that you absolutely need to play your role, and your roles are very, like, they are proscribed, and for better or for worse, like you said, it means the dance. You've got your steps that you need to take as your healer, as the tank. You're responsible for certain things. And I like that structure, that classic MMO group dungeon crawl. But there's so much more about ESO that I'm enjoying as a single player, just going through. It just feels like the missions are more varied. There's a lot more puzzle solving. It's just it's a better written, not the story necessarily, because Final Fantasy's story is incredible, but it's the day-to-day living within the game that doesn't really have very good writing to it. And I'm talking about writing not only in the story narrative, not the big story, but the little stories, but also in the mission designs.
And part of that is, like, I think voice acting helps a lot. Like, just in general, it brings life to the world.
Exactly.
But Final Fantasy is more of a classic MMO, whereas Elder Scrolls was designed to be Skyrim, be a role-playing game in a way that, like, you can attach to a character. So if you're playing it solo, like, that's going to fit that role a lot better. Whereas Final Fantasy is from an era where you get teams of people to kind of manage, and it's kind of like an RTS in a lot of ways, where it's just everyone has to go here and do this, and vice versa. And that happens in Elder Scrolls, but
which is actually funny, because I have found that because Elder Scrolls scales with you, some of its content is harder to do alone. Whereas with Final Fantasy, I could just grind out a level and get through an area on my own. With Elder Scrolls, because it scales, there's some dungeons or some delves that I'm like, oh shit, I need someone's help with this because it's hard to do by myself just because the enemies don't ever get weaker. And so that's kind of been annoying. But I will say, in what sounds like an insult, but is really not, I do think there is value in playing in a game that I can listen to a podcast while I play it. Just something that's kind of simple that I can just go through and listen to a podcast while I play it. I like that kind of thing. And Final Fantasy was that for a lot. I would just listen to a podcast for 2 hours and just kind of do a bunch of mindless quests. And with Elder Scrolls, I can't really do that. And like last night when I was playing with Edie, I was just using a map to find collectibles on the island of Vardenfell. And that would be my hey, I'm just going to chill, listen to a podcast, and just, you know, grind out these collectibles. And like there's value to that of a game that doesn't necessarily require your full attention.
Mm-hmm. AC Ray says the dance fully turns me off. I don't understand the attraction. The small dance of a 4-person group is interesting, but when you get into a full 20 or 40-person raid, it's actually really fun. You have your team, your small team that is based on your role, and then you have sub teams within those roles, and each sub team has a job, and your job, and it's like if everybody pulls off their job exactly right, everybody survives. And the communication, it's just it's what really structured. And playing within that structure, you become a small cog in a very large machine that has to perform perfectly. And when you do, it's a really good feeling. It's like being at a hot craps table. They're rare, but there is no more fun place in the world than a hot craps table. And it's the same thing about there is no more fun that you can have gaming than being in a really good 40-person raid where everybody does everything perfectly. It's rare, but when it's good, it's great. Warframe is his favorite podcast game.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not saying no anymore.
You said yes.
Saying not yet.
You said yes.
I haven't said yes. I'm just saying not yet. Consent, people. It's important. Ubisoft learned this. Consent.
Oh, I did watch the first couple episodes of Upload, and that show is horrifying for like...
It's good, right? You enjoyed it. You laughed.
It is funny, but it is horrifying because I can see the threads like of our society going there, and just it's so bad. I don't. Oh my god.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I've got to do that.
It's funny from episode 1, as opposed to a lot of really good shows that have taken like 4 or 5 episodes to get funny. Like I watched Space Force. Ugh.
Which is funny because both of those were made by the same guy.
The first 6 episodes are so fucking unfunny. And I've heard that like right around episode 7, it starts to get good. It's like, that's a long way to go before the show actually starts to find its legs. And Upload finds its legs episode 1.
AC Wraith. It's kind of like being on what I imagine some people get like from being on a football team or a baseball team or any sports team. Like that is Final Fantasy, and Elder Scrolls may get there, but that game plays out just more like your solo adventure. That's playing badminton or tennis like alone.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, like you said, it's a free-for-all as far as when you just go into somewhere. It's like, with the exception of the healer, nobody else really has a role to do.
Well, there's tanks and stuff in Elder Scrolls, and that becomes apparent. But, like, just when you know everyone's going to have these abilities, you can balance around that game. Whereas if you're playing with someone in ESO who's like, I have this custom build and it's better than the meta build, you just have to give me a chance, and then you end up wiping 100 times. Like, and they're like, it's the tank's fault. It's like, you're doing no damage. Like, it is your fault.
Yeah. So, anything else before we close out this show, people? Another 2 hour and 42-minute show.
apparently the floor is lava gets its legs at episode 100. So if we just stick with it, Edie.
I'm looking forward to getting there. I've been enjoying it since day one.
Not gonna happen.
6 seasons of and a movie of Floor is Lava.
We haven't
the Floor is Lava movie, the Floor is Lava anime, the Floor is Lava comic book,
yeah.
the Floor is Lava Funko Pop,
Floor is Lava anime, board game.
Floor is Lava board game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck me.
Isn't that basically like Breakout or something?
Yeah, it's called. What was the name of that show? That one? Fall Guys. That's what it is. Yeah. Fall Guys. I will totally play Fall Guys. That actually looks like fun.
Yes, same. Once you download it, Edie, I'll get it.
Like Floor is Lava looks like a great thing to do and a terrible thing to watch.
Okay, agree to disagree.
Because I would totally go on Floor is Lava with you.
Oh yeah,
but they wouldn't want me because I'm not going to follow their script.
I'll try, but
yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's the whole point. We'll turn it into MX. Was it MXC?
Yes.
Yeah, we will be MXC.
We'll be waiting there, all trying to get across something. We'll just push Nick in. Oops.
Oh.
See, that would make me watch. So anyway, anything else before we're going to close out the show? All right. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 553. We recorded this on July 12th, 2020. I'm Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola and Andrew Smith. Ways to get a hold of us is gamehounds.net is our website, and gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. You can join us live in the Spreaker chat if you want to just listen to the audio, or if you want to watch us on YouTube, watch us live doing the same damn show. YouTube, it is GameHounds Vids, VIDS is in videos. On Facebook, we are The GameHounds on Facebook. You can go either one of those two places at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday, and you will see us here with our happy, shiny faces, making fun of each other and flipping each other off. If you are watching on YouTube, please, please, please hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, That's where you want to do. That gets you notifications on your phone or wherever you're on saying, hey, we went live. So when we're late, you know we're late, but we're coming on. What else did I have to talk about? We have a Patreon. Please, we would love your support. Thank you very much to all of our patrons. We love you so much. You keep us going, especially the video show. That's what the Patreon does. It sponsors our video cast because, of course, that costs us money, and we've got all this other money going out elsewhere. So, to do the rest of the show, patreon.com/GameHounds. Did I have a ticker? Really? I made it into a ticker. Patreon.com/GameHounds to become a sponsor. $1 a month is all we ask. $1 a month will absolutely support us and ensure that we keep our video feed going in perpetuity every week on a Sunday. Nick and Andrew, have a great week. Thank you for joining us. And everyone in the chat room, thank you for joining us in the chat room on YouTube. We've got, Corey, we've got AC Wraith, of course, our link bitch, who provides every link of anything that we mentioned. There is a story, game, whatever it is mentioned, it gets into a link. So if you want to find out more information about what we talked about, go into our comment section on both Facebook, YouTube, and Spreaker and check it out. If you listen to us on Spreaker, please, or on iTunes or iHeartRadio, please leave us feedback. It helps other people find us, and it lets us know how we're doing. All right, guys, everyone have a great week. Wear your masks. Seriously, wear your masks. Stay safe. Bye-bye. Where's my mask? My mask is around here somewhere. Yeah, I have so many freaking masks in this house right now.
I need to get another one. I only have one.
All right. So the audio podcast is out. We are still on live on YouTube and Facebook. All right. I got to go because what little energy I have. So I was up until 4 a.m. playing with Nick. So I'm like, I go to bed and I'm like, because I've told you about Ralph, the puker next door. And we've got a new character to add to the apartment building courtyard that my bedroom overlooks. This new character's Chatty Cathy. Chatty Cathy wakes up at 8:30 in the morning and decides to have a loud phone conversation. Or maybe she was meeting with a friend. I couldn't exactly figure out. Saturday was my day to sleep in, and it's like, all right, come on, baby. Ralph, just hold it in one day this week. That's all I'm asking. One day out of the weekend, don't wake me up throwing up. And he didn't on Saturday, but Chatty Cathy decided to have a phone conversation at 8:30 in the morning, and she talked for 2 hours on the phone. Loud. So this morning, I went to bed at 4 a.m. I was like, come on. I know I'm asking you a lot, Ralph. Please just hold it in on a Sunday. It's just please. Ralph, first off, I wake myself up for some odd reason at 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh, God damn it. So I go back to sleep. 8:30, Ralph throws up again. So I get to enjoy that. I've gotten now to the point where I'm yelling at Ralph going, you should close your window because you wake me up throwing up every morning. So, because I know if I'm lying in bed talking, he can hear me. So he finishes up throwing up. I go back to sleep. That was at 8:30. 9:30, Chatty Cathy starts in. And Chatty Cathy has another phone conversation. So I was like, God damn it. So I try to go back to sleep, and I kind of go back to sleep. At 9:50, my brother calls because there is a protest going on in our hometown where my brother and I still own my parents' house. And he has heard news that there is going to be a riot and people are going to be throwing bricks, and he wants to board up the building. And I need to drop everything and go over to my hometown and put up plywood on the walls. And he is in full panic mode and angry at me because I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen. This is not going to happen. So I'd have an hour-long conversation with my brother yelling at me about how I'm not supporting the family. Because I'm not coming over to board up a house, not a building, a business, a house from a Black Lives Matter protest that is happening a mile and a half from my house, from my parents' house.
You have like a choose your fighter thing going on in the morning. Like, who do you want? Chatty Cathy, conspiracy brother, or the Ralph Report?
Right.
The Ralph
Report. The Ralph Report. It's sunny with a chance of showers.
You've got a whole cast of characters.
I do. Yeah. I have a whole cast of characters. Yeah, I haven't even told you about Garbage Man. Garbage Man on because Garbage Man's Thursday morning, but he's consistent. He's there at 6:30, and he is going to slam every single garbage can, and there's like 8 garbage cans in that courtyard. He's going to slam the lids of every single garbage can, and he's going to dig through everything to put it into another garbage can, so he only has to drag one, and he's going to do it super loud. So, but that's Thursday morning. I expect that. I've had Garbage Man for last year. He and I are old friends, but he is consistent, and I know he's going away. Chatty Cathy, 2 hours? 2 hours that woman talked. So anyway, I am out of energy. That was the last little bit of it. I need to go lie down and take a nap because then I gotta get up and go do dishes and do laundry. So
I'm gonna go group play a game called Monster Prom. So that's gonna be fun.
Monster Prom is cool.
Monster Prom is very cool. As I recall, Don Matrick. Yeah, John Matrick. He's interior designs the inside of his toilet bowl at least 3 or 4 times a week. I can take this off. Yeah, Monster Prom. We saw it at PAX, right?
Yeah, that's a great
good game.
Groot game. That one, and did you ever play one? It's not called the Yahweh. That's something different, but it's like the something. And it's got a structure almost exactly the same as Monster Prom, except you're trying to stop this incoming evil force from the Yaweg. Thank you, Bitters Plus. The Yaweg. You're trying to stop this evil force from destroying your town, and like exactly like Monster Prom, it progresses in days where one player chooses, I'm going to research this, other player chooses, I'm going to research this, and they get into crazy things that happen. And then at the end of those days, the game kind of says, this is how successful you were at repelling the Yaweg.
I am not filing Yaweg anywhere. I am fighting a lot of things named Yahweh.
Yeah, the Yaweg on Steam. YAWHG. Holy shit, it's by Emily Carroll? I didn't know that, but that makes so much sense.
Who's Emily Carroll?
She is a comics writer who makes like really good kind of not horror, but like very fairy tale horror, like old school Grimm fairy tales.
Oh, kind of cool.
Like she excels at that stuff. This is a great game. I think this is only on Steam, but it'd be great to play this at some point.
Is it a group game?
Yeah, you can play it single player or with 4 people, I think.
Well, that's kind of
cool.
Well, Monster Prom is just like one person's going to stream it, and then we're going to have each person kind of make decisions as we go. That's it's going to be.
You can also do that. That works too. And yeah, Monster Prom is like the Yawig, but funny. And I remember watching it at PAX and just watching people play it, and it's so funny.
Yeah, I was very I loved this game.
I remember in that Sony showing when they showed that one game, like something high school. Remember that dinosaurs in high school?
Yes.
Game. I thought it was Monster Prom at first, and I got excited, being like, "Monster Prom 2 for PS5, yes!" And it turned out to not be that, and it was like, "Oh, that's."
I think we saw Monster Prom, and it was in the same booth as what's the other indie game where it's essentially you date your sword.
Oh yes, it was
the
that.
Sword turns. The swords have different personalities that are represented by beautiful boys.
I don't know. It was a pun. The title was a pun. Fuck. Let me see.
Yeah, somebody this has got to ring a bell with someone in the chat room where it's like, you have a choice of.
Is it just Boyfriend Dungeon?
Was it? Maybe it was Boyfriend Dungeon.
I think it's just Boyfriend.
Yes.
I think it was that. I think it was their logo. Yes, Shack and Slash.
Yeah,
that is how they described it.
The first of its genre, but not the last.
That's
Shack
awesome.
and Slash. Yes, that's what I remembered.
Yeah,
Boyfriend Dungeon. That was cool too.
Yep.
Wait, who's this? This sounds familiar. Made by Kit Fox Games. Who is Kit Fox Games?
Kit Fox Games made the game about the cult where you had to decide. You had to like sacrifice a person every quarter.
Oh, the Shrouded Isle.
Shrouded Isle. That's Kit Fox.
Yes, that's Kit Fox. Okay.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
Oh, they also did 6. They published 6 Ages.
Yes, they did.
That's cool. I have that on mobile.
Yeah, I really like Shrouded Isle.
Yeah, Shrouded Isle.
And I believe they also did they do Rune? Was it RuneScape? Rune something where it was essentially a RPG that had to, was it Frost Rune? I believe they did Frost Rune.
No, I didn't see that on the webpage.
No? Okay. Could be wrong.
Not Kit Fox, at least. I mean, I can look that up. Thank you, Google, for typing in "game date your weapons" and giving me Boyfriend Dungeon at the beginning. Like,
it's a specific genre. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, we lost Nick. What did he do?
I'm realizing I may be chaotic evil, Edie.
Why?
Because I'm just hoping that the podcast goes for 3 hours.
You know what? I'm gonna call it right now because I am lawful good.
No.
And we are gonna call this show right now before we hit 3 hours.
Damn it.
Sorry. I'm gonna wait 2 more minutes. So it's at 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Oh.
All right, everyone in the chat room, thank you for being here. Hey, and welcome to Acme News. Welcome to the chat. This is the first time I've seen you, at least, to the chat. So maybe you were listening before and you just coming in and asking questions. Thank you for being here. And thank you also to our new ami français. Where is he? He's probably not even listening anymore. My French friend.
Did we ever get the answer on that, by the way?
No, we didn't.
Oh, he did answer. I just didn't do it. It's here somewhere. I have to go back. It says, it's Tristan. He says, it's awesome when you said peut-être. It sounded so cool. Magnifique. Bravo. Merci. And he said he had an answer. Did he answer? I thought no, he did not answer. He didn't give me an answer about whether it's Ubisoft or Ubisoft.
Okay, here. I know they've answered, and I'll look that up. Okay. I keep thinking I'm going to delete the StreamYard because...
And the general opinion within the chat room, it is Ubisoft. Or somebody actually said Ubisoft.
Ubisoft educates the world on how to correctly pronounce its game.
Good.
Most of the French-speaking employees smoothly replied Ubisoft, while their English-speaking counterparts overwhelmingly went with Ubisoft. Further complicating matters was the company's Japanese employees, who used a rather unique Ubisoft pronunciation. And Yves Guillemot has said you can pronounce it the way you want.
Oh, good, man.
Ubisoft.
It's all
Ubisoft.
Yep.
Ubisoft. I can see that now because it's Ubisoft.
Yep. So but I'll say Ubisoft.
Wait, what the fuck? There's
Ubisoft.
A Cuphead show on Netflix?
What? Oh yeah, there's going to be a Cuphead show on Netflix.
When did this happen?
Like 2 weeks ago, I think. Maybe a little more. I remember.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I actually mentioned it on the show that there was going to be a Cuphead show. And Zombie U came out for the PS4 as iZombie.
Okay,
that's probably where you played it.
I think I might play a demo of that, like at a PAX show at some point.
Ookie Bookie Spelooky, i.e. Lava Edition. No, we're going to do the Vikings edition long before we do the Lava edition.
We could combine it and just, do
Vikings
a thing
and lava?
together. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Vikings and lava. Vikings versus lava.
Just...
Who wouldn't play that?
That's why they're trying to push the blocks, is to create a barricade.
Yeah. Really? Bitter says just watch an Yves Guillemot video.
Yves Guillemot.
Guillemot. I guess it would be Guillemot, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be Guillemot.
I'm going to call him that from now on.
It is.
Yves Guillemot.
Guillemot. Oh, yes. Good job, AC Wraith. We did go over 3 hours.
No, according to the timer at the top, it's only live for 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 57 seconds.
No, we're at 2 hours, 58 minutes.
We have 1 minute.
All right, everyone. It was great. Thank you for joining us.
About Star Wars. Listen.
No. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us. Welcome to Tristan. Welcome to what was it? Acme News. gonna check out if you have an Acme News podcast or an Acme News show. I will absolutely check that out, and we will be happy to pimp that show out on here. Happy to do it. So, thank you very much. And again, don't forget we've got the GameHounds Patreon.
20.
We'll just have dead air for 20 seconds.
Do you want to count it down?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Because we've got 15 seconds.
9.
No. We're not.
7,
we're not. We're at 47.
6,
we're at 47.
5,
now we're at 10.
57, 58, 59. 3 hours.
Okay.
Nope.
See,
No.